evening. My name is Susan Stevenson. I'm the chair of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation of the Village of Southampton, New York. I'm here, do I hear a motion to, these are my fellow board members, Sarah Latham, Jeff Broadlead, Counsel Alice Cooley, Historic Consultant Zach Studenroth, Recording Secretary Antoinette Edwards, Charlie Styler, the videographer, and Charles, our Zoom person.
Certain.
So wait a minute, who's here? What's this?
I'm Denise from Hampton Signs. I'm your first victim.
Well, we're not quite ready, but that's okay, Denise. Just stay there. Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
So move.
Yep, I second.
Aye.
Aye.
We have a little business to take care of before we move on to the applications. First, the sign committee. Robert Coburn is no longer on the ARB, so I'm designating Jeff Broadleaf to take his place with Sarah Latham to be on the sign committee, which expedites sign approvals. If either one of them objects to a sign, then it has to come before the full board. In addition, I'd like to make an announcement that to ensure access for the public, we are going to keep the record open for 10 days on applications presented at this meeting in order for the public to have an opportunity to make written commentary on the applications presented. In addition,
Any application that requires a public hearing tonight. So not the driveway gates, not the signs, but any of the public hearings tonight, those applications will be held open.
Okay. And also, we have before COVID-19, actually, we had been discussing putting in some time limits for applicants and people who want to comment. And so we have here a resolution entitled Resolution Adopting Presentation Time Limits, which I will read. Whereas 116-31E of Southampton Village Code states the board shall adopt rules of procedure as it may deem necessary to the proper exercise of its responsibilities, and whereas the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation of the Village of Southampton desires to establish a rule of procedure to establish time limits for board presentations. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation hereby establishes that, 1, all applicants shall have 10 minutes to present their application to the board, with extensions granted at the discretion of the board. 2, all interested parties to a particular application shall have 5 minutes to present their interest or concern with regard to a particular application, with extensions granted at the discretion of the board. And 3, all applicants shall have 5 minutes of rebuttal time to address public comment made with regard to their application, with extensions granted at the discretion of the board. I'd like to take a vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the resolution passes and will be in effect tonight. Next, signs. Oh, wait, do we have to approve any minutes on this? Oh, yes. Next, the minutes of March 9th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, I move that we approve the minutes for March 9th.
A second. Aye.
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 Minutes are approved. Alice, should I give you the resolution?
No, that can go in the file.
What file?
Just make sure they get it in there.
Just put it at the very end, will you? Sarah, I don't know what to do. All right, let's just hope. Okay, next, signs. Sean's Place. Are you here for Sean's Place?
I am.
Please step forward. Do you have any?
First, let Denise say who she is.
Oh, you don't have a picture of it or anything we have to
No, I've
provide?
submitted multiple color photos of different
So is that what you put it down here?
Ready? Grab it?
Is that the only picture we have of that? Wait, Zach, I hang on here. Here we go. Okay. Sorry, we're spreading out more this time.
Yes, of course.
So,
I don't know.
So there were comments made during the COVID period that they wanted to see the panoramic of the whole building, and that is the second one there, the black and white one.
the sign is not actually, the whole building has a number of stores in it, correct?
It does, but this is on the side of Sean's actually deli, the actual deli.
No, there's something before Sean's. That's not true.
Happy Feet.
I'm sorry, you're right. Happy Feet is first.
That's right.
Yes, you are
So
correct.
I find it inappropriate, just by that very nature, that it's the entrance to the village, and then we have this sign that's on the side,
Yeah, okay.
where you can see it when you're driving into town.
Well, there we go.
And Sean's Place has a sign on the actual storefront that was
They do,
approved.
they do.
But to have this thing just
Thank you.
floating around up there is, to me, sort of an assault on the entrance. to
How
the
would you
village.
feel if Happy Feet had one underneath?
Well, we probably wouldn't want that either. If that's, the way you want to roll it.
It's not me in particular, I'm just trying to help my customer survive.
Right. Well, anyone else?
Oh, this is, okay, I didn't realize where this was. So this is, you view this
Parking lot.
from the, but
It's
you view this as you coming from Hill Street into town?
Yes,
On
sir.
Phillips Lane?
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't realize that at all. No, sorry.
I think it's inappropriate
Yeah.
to have on the entrance to the building. Or not adjacent to the,
Not on the actual. Seems-
Yeah,
So,
no, then, I mean, and Denise, this isn't really your issue, you're a great sign maker, so if you were to allow that sign, there's no reason why every retailer should say, well, I rent in this building, therefore I should have a sign.
that's right,
So
Happy Feet and the whole nine yards.
we can't go down that path.
So let me ask you this question. How would you feel if there was a directory on the building? No? You know how East Hampton does that on the sides of
Yeah.
public right-of-way buildings?
Have you seen any of those in Southampton?
No, I'm just giving you an
Yeah.
example of what East Hampton does.
Yes, but you know what? We're Southampton. I just think it's an unfortunate placement, because that is the actual, when you first enter the village, that's what you see, the roses, and then you would see that sign sticking up there.
Yeah.
We had similar issues, actually, with the
The Rose
movie
Garden?
theater,
Movie theater.
and we resolved it.
Yeah.
He didn't put it on the building.
Mhm.
He wanted to put these big signs that said, "Don't park here," all kinds of unfriendly things, and he agreed. He'd put a sign on a stick, on a pole, and then it would be where he had
Yeah,
a
but
reason.
that was behind his building in the parking lot. This is a totally different thing, and again, given its placement in the village, and again, the precedent it would set. So
We're coming up with a note.
I can't support it.
Okay. Well, we tried.
Yes, he did. He even
Yeah.
had some pretty interesting ideas.
Okay.
Could I have this, so I'm going to attach this, I have to redo it. I'm sorry.
so do we have a formal vote, or is that?
Do we, so, the motion,
I move to have the sign application for Sean's Place.
I second the motion. So,
Right. Well,
is it not to deny? Is
It's
it the
really,
motion?
you vote to approve, and then
then
we
everyone
all
says
you
no?
say nay. Is that not the correct procedure?
Yeah, exactly. That's
So
exactly
you
right.
should say, make a motion to approve the Sean's Place sign, and then we all vote no.
Well, she doesn't, no, I'm sorry. Make
She
a
can
motion
say
to deny.
nay.
I'm rusty. You want to make a motion to deny, you're all denied.
Okay, motion to deny the application of Sean's Place sign on the back, on the side parking lot.
I second.
Aye.
Aye.
So,
Okay, denied.
You want to resubmit? Did you have another application on?
Yeah, the next one up is mine.
Okay. The outdoor kitchen design
Mhm.
store?
Sorry, moment here.
I guess, as a matter of formality and for Antoinette, you should say when it's called that, as you've done in the past, I'm Denise for the applicant,
Okay,
okay?
What's your next sign, the outdoor?
outdoor kitchen design.
Whoa, okay. And we're going to have to do this again, Zach, I'm afraid.
I'm not quite sure what the angle of the camera is on this.
Not your problem.
Where's the angle?
Sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, huh?
Well, the way the camera is.
Right.
Usually faces that.
Yeah,
You're not using that.
I see.
Okay.
that's unfortunate for all the plans. Why is that?
That's where he is.
All right, go ahead, Denise, sorry, not,
Denise Fenchel, representing outdoor kitchen design from Hampton Signs. So this has had multiple revisions submitted. Originally, his logo is black and gray and with a red flame, and then I submitted it again with, I think, a gray background with the black letters, and now we brought it down to just white and gray and the red. Simple, nondescript sign.
and is that logo, is that just that particular, is that a franchise, or that's just something that you all dreamed up together?
That he has another business in Connecticut, and he's trying to cross-brand like Hobbs. I don't know if you know Hobbs, but so he's trying to use his logo and get to be known. Nobody's going to recognize him by his font.
Can you give us an idea of the linear, how big the sign is?
It was, and it easily fits within the code.
Is there any way to make the logo a little smaller?
We've already destroyed his logo. I mean, his whole color scheme and everything has been dumbed down so much.
Okay, I'm
Just, I mean, it can be
Okay.
made a little bit smaller on the sign, but his branding's gone, basically. That's all that's left, is that that gray, dark gray logo.
Jeff,
Oh, I have no objections to it.
Sarah? I hate the logo, but I'll let it go. How's that?
Okay, thank you.
How's that for cheerful?
That's good. We like that.
Motion to approve the sign of Outdoor Kitchen Design Store.
Second? Aye.
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 You realize there's a front and a back sign, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I need those pieces of paper again, Sarah. Sorry.
Getting your exercise, Zach.
I know.
So So maybe in future, while we're still having the COVID situation, we could have you bring also a copy of this so that we don't have to be
Absolutely.
grabbing around. We're trying to work with you, but it's It's just like a lot of things happening. I'm sorry, what, you now have fact?
No, so I just want to make sure that it's approved for both the front and the back. I didn't hear that.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Denise.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Denise.
Good night. Right now, I have so many different agenda. Oh, here's the new.
Oh, that's good.
The next sign is Atoutage, 60 Jobs Lane. Right?
Yes. Stacy Menzer, Hampton Signs.
We missed you.
Yeah, we missed you.
How do you know it's even me?
Yeah, isn't that great? Okay, Atoutage. Oh, but you don't have the thing either, so I just,
I don't have what thing?
Yeah, she's got it.
oh, could you put that on? Thank you.
Thank you.
And instead of pointing it that way, turn it a little bit more.
To Charlie in the corner.
It's sort of in a different, it's more like that.
Stacy coordinates.
So Stacy,
Absolutely.
Oh,
we don't have that. Do we have that in the file?
yeah,
I guess
that
it's
looks like,
elongated in your.
yeah, it looks like what you just showed
Are you using a
me.
wide-angle lens?
It does stretch it. The original doesn't.
The TV is wide angle.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
really,
Yeah.
I know.
yeah.
So, you want to tell us about it, or we just?
It's gold vinyl on the windows and gold logo on the door with the website.
Ooh, with the website? Where's that? Oh, I see, atoutage.com. I don't like the big A on the door much, but I'd be willing to live with it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, maybe it could be scaled down, maybe a teeny bit.
It's only 18 inches.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is not big.
I think it looks bigger on there than it probably really is. Yeah.
Motion to approve the decals. It's all decals, is that correct?
It is all decals.
The window decal and the door decal for Atoutage. Do I have a motion? I'm making the motion.
Yep.
Second?
Aye.
Aye. All done.
Thank you. Can I take this back, or do you need this?
Yes, that's it.
No,
We have it.
Stacy.
Thank you. Stay well.
You too.
Trying. Next, fact construction estimating. Is there anyone here for that? Fact? Are you fact?
Yes.
Oh, please step forward.
Is there a sign in tonight?
No,
Okay.
believe me.
Okay. Here or at the podium? Where's that?
But just put your.
Put your
picture
thing down
and
there.
I'll rotate it so that they can see it.
Thank you.
And then you.
Put your scheme down there.
He's gonna do the regular. He's gonna do the regular.
Oh, okay. So now, Zach, we're back to the way Charlie used to do it.
Oh, and Zach, isn't it? Okay,
You know, it's just better.
it is better.
How about that?
Hello,
Hello, good
I'm
evening.
Ronald Fisher for the applicant.
You gotta plug it in. Excuse me. Excuse me.
How are you, Charles?
I'm good. I think I'm good.
Oh, no. Now we have no signal.
No, give it, look at that.
There it is. Okay, continue.
Okay, I made copies for you if it's easier to see, but this is a
We
storefront
have a
sign.
copy. We're good to go here,
Oh,
sir.
they are? Okay, excellent. It's a storefront sign. The name of his business is Fact Construction Estimating. That's the name of the business. We kept the size pretty consistent with what was there, but changed positioning. It used to be underneath the left window above the awning. This tenant is taking more space in that building and wants to propose moving the sign to the center of the windows instead of above that other business. He's the upstairs business.
Okay. Did we all get that? Mm-hmm. Comments? I don't like that big thing.
Am I right in thinking that the original one was Or the previous was a detail on the door?
No, it was, if you look on the drawing, there's a box to the left that is colored out. That's where the other tenant who was upstairs was.
Okay.
This tenant has more of that space and wants his sign
In the center?
In the center?
Yes.
I wish that you didn't have that, it looks like a fist, but it's an F, is that right? What
Yeah,
is-
that's his logo.
His logo, does he have a franchise, or it's just, he thought that up?
I don't know what his business was like before he met me. This, I think, is his first storefront here.
Well, I think it would be better without that, and then it would be passed.
I know it's important to him to get it, so I would like you to reconsider, if you don't mind, that if you look at the 3 Gs on the awning, that's a pretty prominent attention-getting logo.
I don't think those are ever approved personally,
Okay.
and I'm not the police,
Mm-hmm.
okay? I might sound like it sometimes, but I'm not.
I know he's excited to be open and the sign would help, so I'm going to take what I can get, but I know it's important to
Could
him
you
to have the
reduce
logo.
the big giant red thing?
It threw out the proportion of the sign. I did propose that to him, if we made it smaller, and it threw out the proportion with the text. I did try that in one of the mock-ups.
I don't actually think that's true. Other board members?
I would prefer it with a smaller logo or doing away with the logo.
I think it's more effective without the logo, but that's, your client has a different idea.
Right. I'm philosophically, I have less of an issue with logos as does the chair. But having said that, in this particular case, where the logo is superior to the lettering, I agree with Sarah saying if you were to bring it down so that it was justified with the top and the bottom.
That would be about a 20% reduction. I think he would agree to that to get an approval if you are okay with that.
And presumably in doing that, then the width would be reduced by 20% too, so at least proportionate.
Of just the logo part?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it would shrink
Okay.
down entirely. I'd like to keep the signboard the same size, if that's okay with you?
That's
With the
fine.
white space on the edges? Okay.
But honestly, if you look at this, it dwarfs what your message, and the thing has absolutely no relevance to it.
Yeah.
It's important to him. It was
I
very
realize
important to him.
it's important to him, but we
Yeah.
have other considerations.
Of course, and I think if you can agree to a 20% reduction in size, I think I could agree to that, if you'll
So
okay
how,
with
we
that.
can mark it up?
Sure.
All right. Am I allowed to mark it up, or he has to mark it up?
Have him mark
You
it
have
up.
to mark it up,
With a 20% reduction?
yes.
And would you
Right.
approve
Well,
it conditional?
20% plus it shall not exceed the top or lower
Of the,
of the
Typeface.
typeface.
I'm comfortable with that if I can get a conditional approval, and I would resubmit drawings in the morning.
that's fine.
Okay.
You can actually just write on here, 20% reduction, which I'm writing on, my piece.
And then logo no larger in height than the text? Is that what we agreed to?
Right. Mhm.
Okay.
But the text is staying the same size.
Yes, I'm not changing that at all.
Okay. Motion to approve the sign for Fact Construction Estimating with the stipulation that the logo, the large red F to the left of the type, will be reduced by 20% in size, will not exceed the height of the 3 lines of type. Right?
Right.
Should I resubmit what I wrote, or is that
Right.
good for,
Obviously, the height and the base,
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
use,
the top and the base.
you want my copy?
do you need it?
No? All right.
Okay, why don't you give it to me, and then we'll have the real deal. Thank you.
I second.
Aye.
Aye.
There was a little mix-up on the agenda. I'm also sign number 6. Are you willing to take me out of order so I don't have to go back?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much.
Just 1 second, I've
Sure.
got to find your sign. What is that sign?
Southampton Rotary.
By the way, can you guys hear me through this thing? Okay. It's hard enough to understand me
Okay.
without it.
Now, did you bring that in today?
No, they've had this last week. They asked for the positioning. I gave it to them Friday with the positioning. So the sign permit was in 10 days ago, but the positioning we got Friday.
Okay. Do you have, and this is going outside of Oh, you're moving to a different place?
Yeah, they're no longer hosting meetings where they've been forever, and now they're graciously being hosted at the Southampton Inn. So they'd like to move their sign. It's the same size that it's.
Can you put,
Yes.
you have your things there?
I'm not going to take the other
Did the
one.
previous signs have the,
The date and the time, sure, that's what they usually
have
do.
so much on it, like the website?
It had it as a rider. There were two riders, so there was the logo as a circle, and then
Yeah.
the first rider had the date and time, and the second rider had the website. So it's exactly the same size as what was there. We just changed it to, instead of hang, it's got two posts now, so it's more secure.
All right, I have no objection to this.
Nope.
Board members?
Okay, yep.
Motion to approve the sign of Southampton Rotary. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
all
you very
done.
much for your time.
Good night,
You can
thank you.
take that.
Want to take it?
You can take that.
If you want it.
Now, where were we? Now we have to go back. Salady, whatever that is. Salady? I'm getting there. Do we have the person? Oh.
Jobs Lane.
Yeah, we need the, is there anyone to present Salady?
1 second.
Are you here for Salady?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a copy of what you're presenting?
I
Could you
do.
put it on this table, please? Thank you. And your name, sir?
My name is Emmanuel Digona.
Okay.
Antoinette, did you get that, or you need to spell it?
Is that good spelling of the last name?
Yeah, okay.
D-I space D-O-N-N-A.
And where is this? In the back?
Next to jail door.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Used to be a North Gallery.
got it. Board members? I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Good? And it's 20, it's not very big?
No, it's so big.
It's 23 inches by 7 inches? Is that correct?
Yes.
Motion to approve the application of C'est La Vie. Is it C'est La Vie, like
C'est la vie, yes.
C'est La Vie. Sorry, I
Yeah, no,
missed
it's
it. in the
okay.
first-
They
I'm
all
on you
work.
now.
With an accent that.
Okay.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
And last but not least, what? Asprey. Asprey the bar. But we need the person. If you see anybody out there, tell them that might be their turn.
Jackie's keeping it moving.
I did too, but I just, we want, just to get it over with. Let's just do it officially. I'll tell you what, is there someone here for that or not? Okay, let's just look at it anyway. How's that?
Yeah, let's look at it.
Okay. Zach, I'm afraid to tell you, but we're going to need your help again.
Up to the task. Okay.
I believe that
Bar.
this is for Asprey, the bar, whatever that means, but it's Asprey, London. It's on Job's Lane.
You pop up?
I'm not saying. Great. So it has some window decals. What does it actually say? They're asking on the glass and on the pressed wood panel. One wood panel sign on the store's front brick wall and 2 vinyl on store glass vitrines. I don't have it. I think I don't have anything bad to say about that. Do you?
No, not at all.
Motion to approve the decals and sign for Asprey the Bar on Job's Lane. Do I make a motion to approve?
A second.
Aye.
Aye.
Now I need that back. Great, I think we made it through the signs. It's a miracle. Okay. Let's just put this away. This looks like a little house to put up here these days. And we'll move on. I don't think so, we would have seen them. It's so long ago. Okay,
We would
Sarah?
have been long overdue on that. I would have contacted you guys about that.
I don't know if we would have remembered, March 9th is
I would have remembered back then.
a hunk of time. All right, next. Here, so this goes in the front of the first bin. This bin. Any bin, fine. Next, we're moving on to driveway gates, non-historic. First is Hampton Monkey Business LLC, 209 Little Plains.
Hi.
Hi.
Affidavit, so I'll give that to you.
Your name, sir? Your name, sir?
Charles Keown, architect, representing builder Sutton Homes.
Oh, we can't see this. Can you? It's not you. Charlie,
Yeah.
Charlie, can you close in on the, zoom in on the, get back there. There, right there, right there. Okay, great. Thank you. Do you want to tell us about it?
Sure,
or do
okay.
you
Well,
want
we
us to
have
tell you
driveway
about it?
gates at 209 Little Plains. The gates themselves will be 6 feet high with two pillars on either side that'll be 7 feet. The material of the gate will be a mahogany painted black. Reason for the black finish is that it matches the garage doors and the window and door finish on the house. And then the pillars on either side will be a stack stone and a blue stone, which matches the fireplace, I should say the chimney finish on the house. What we have on top is we have on the top half of the gate, it's a 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 picket with a 1 1/4 inch spacing between each picket. And then the lower portion of the gate is going to be a 4-inch slat with a 1 1/4 inch spacing.
Yes, Sarah, what do you have to say?
I'm troubled that it, with the proximity to the historic cemetery, that it's necessary to have big gates and dark colors, and to me it interferes with the both bucolic aspect and the historic aspect of the cemetery.
And on that street, there's only one gate that's 4 feet high. It's not even mechanical. I think it's entirely inappropriate. I think it really, you've created on that space a walled-in, huge house, and then you want to put up yet another part of this fortress-like gates, of which there are none anywhere else. And it is next to the old burying ground. It has a kind of open bucolic. And I walked up and down, I looked carefully, and I honestly feel that it's inappropriate.
What height would you feel comfortable with?
I'm not sure I would, 4 feet at the most, and not big and heavy at the most. I don't actually think there should be gates there, so I have to say I can't really answer your question. How's that? How about our historic consultant?
Well, let me, let this board member speak for a second. I too am with Sarah that a gate on this house, which is already massive as it is in relationship to many of the other houses, it just adds to, and especially with the black trim, having a black gate adds to the estate feeling that was not, this is one of the oldest streets in the village and one of the main accesses to the beach. And to this point, there have been very few, if any, gates. So I would think any gate of any type on that house is superfluous. Charles, let me just finish. Is superfluous and counter to the harmony of that street. As much as you and your developer want to have it, it would not get my vote, no matter what the size, no matter what the transparency. It's just a gate on that street, given the massiveness of that house. It's inappropriate, and to me, it has no reason to be there.
Well, certainly, security would be, primary reason to have the gate.
There's a fence 10 feet back or something, isn't there?
Charles,
It's not, we're not here in the, we're not in this.
well, no, but just for the benefit, because you've come before us before, and other people will as well, and to the extent that anybody's out there listening, security is, I appreciate it, but really, if anybody is interested in going into anybody's house, they darn well can, including the deers who can jump over anything less than 8 feet. Now, when a house is on a 4 or 10 acre estate where there's a 500-foot driveway, and somebody could get in and they could have free reign and roam of the place, maybe security, but you're on a corner. Anybody could get in from any corner, let alone the grave, the north side, the south side. So security in general doesn't carry much weight for me as I sit on this board, but surely on that property does not.
So honestly, I don't think you have the votes
So you're saying no gates at all?
We're saying no gates.
No, in this, we're
this
saying
situation-
this application, this property, this gate as presented on this street. Right. We approve gates. It's all subject to the particular application, the particular location, and in this particular case, you can see that
It's a very
it's
sensitive
unanimous.
area, as you know. It's been, somebody else, put like a fence and had to spend $1 gazillion taking it down on the other side of the burying of the cemetery. It just, you already have a massive presence that I feel is overbearing, but I can't help that. You can't help it either. But to then add to it seems unnecessary. And in looking back, it's not like it is. There's hardly any driveway. The whole thing seems like, I don't know what reason there would be except to make it like a more massive statement in a place where that's not really welcome.
Again, just so I can go back with options, would the board entertain at least some pillars on either side?
You have pillars there. Are those illegal? There are pillars in the driveway.
Yes.
Those aren't legal, are they?
No.
Okay, well, no.
I think it's important that the board not design your application for you, and what they're saying here is that gates on this property are not of harmonious character.
All right.
Sorry.
Thanks, Charles.
Okay, thanks for coming.
So we have to vote on those.
Motion to deny the application of Hampton Monkey Business LLC, 209 Little Plains Road for driveway gates.
I second.
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next, Innovator Properties, 224 Great Plains Road, driveway gates. Great. Lisa Zaloga.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, long time no see. Are you Innovator Properties, 224 Great Plains Road, driveway gates?
I am.
Okay, do you have oh, yes, you are prepared.
I have whatever you want. What would you like?
Good, we like all of it, but we need one on the table so Charlie can pick it up, please.
You have your affidavit.
I did. Do you want any for you, or you guys have yours?
I'll have
I looked at the file, so I'm good.
I'd like one just because I got it.
Well, here, just- You want one?
No, I can, well,
You gonna look upside down?
I'll look up.
Here.
Thank you. No, I got it. Thank you, Bert. Thank you.
And I'll put the survey up, and then I'll give you your affidavit. There you go, sir.
For me?
For you. So you all remember we came before you guys for the new house at 224 Great Plains? And that is a picture of the house under construction. And we are here for driveway gates. There's going to be one driveway gate in the same locations where the existing driveway opening was, which is on the east side of the property there. And we're looking for the gates. There's no lights. It'll be painted the same china white that the trim on the house will be. And it meets your 50% open.
No problem for me.
Looks great.
Good.
Miracle.
Miracle.
Motion to approve the application of Innovator Properties, 224 Great Plains Road, driveway gates.
A second?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck. That's a big project out there. Here, do you want these, Lisa?
Sure, go.
That was bad. Next, Anthony Paduano,
Thank you, guys. Good to see you.
Take care, same here, Lisa.
137 South Main Street, driveway gates.
Oh, by the way, that's historic, so I guess it was submitted, has to be submitted for written decision.
Yep.
Yeah,
What?
that one's going to require a written decision.
Oh, God, that's right.
Telling me I have to do
Sorry.
my job.
So, wait, we have to do it again. Motion to close the application of Innovator Properties, 224 Great Plains Road, for written decision. Do I?
Second.
Aye. Aye. Sorry.
Thank you, Jeff.
Decision. Sorry, I flipped the page.
The papers?
Yeah, just the image,
Oh, sure.
and then the affidavit will go to Charlie.
An affidavit?
Posting and mailing?
Yes.
It's one is all we need, isn't it?
Posting and mailing. You need two things.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you get that from the other one?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Where should I stand?
Here in the
Anywhere you
podium.
want. How about that for fun?
Microphone or the table?
I think that you're wired over there, too.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you go to the podium and then you can tell us about the beautiful gates you designed. Okay.
My name is Perry Guillot, landscape architect. The project South Main Street, and the proposals for a wrought iron gate and brick pillars. It's to be a satin black paint color, and the bricks or this sort of old brick with a whitewash finish. No lights.
How tall?
The pillars are at 8 feet with a stone cap, and the gate a bit smaller, I think 7 feet. All iron. In the image is the representation with the hedge brought to the pillars.
Other than the height of the pillars I think that its openness and, the openness and sort of the formality are consistent with that Main Street location. The pillars, though, appear to me to be a bit massive, but I don't know, what's your thought on that?
Well, 8 feet plus a cap is a really tall thing.
No, including the cap.
What is the house?
Sorry, including the cap. The
Right.
pillars.
Is the house that way in the back?
Way on the back on the lake. It's next door to the McDermott, which is that Georgian brick house with the ivy on it.
Because usually, I mean, the design of
No, it's,
that would
you have to go
lead
down
to
the
the house, but if the two are totally
far away. You can only see, it looks like you're going into the petrified
It's
forest.
almost as if it's like an entrance to a park. So I think the only issue is,
I
to
think
me,
it's a little-
the massiveness of the pillars in
Way
relationship
to scale
to
it down a
the
little?
house.
Let me see it again.
8 feet is pretty, that's really,
Oh, if you made it 7 and 6, like most of the gates usually are.
Is it the height or the width of the?
it's the height. To me, it's the height. That thing is, the whole thing is like too massive.
So if
But you know, the bottom line to everything all the time is to keep the deer out.
I know, but
And-
I can't listen to that because I'm not a deer person. I'm just into the architecture.
Okay, so what would be the
7 and 6, he's right.
7.6?
No,
seven.
7 for the pillars, 6 for the gates.
And it's no longer deer-proof.
Yes. You have so much property there, unless you were to put, and again, I have this with everybody, unless you were to put 8 feet fencing around the entire property, it doesn't matter whether you have 8 feet in the front, but as long as there's one opening that's less than 8 feet,
Well, we're trying
it's
to
not
stop
deer-proof.
that. That would be the spot that's remaining open.
But the rest of the property is not. In any event, from an architectural standpoint, that to get my vote, it would be that. I'm sorry if that doesn't keep all the deer out, but maybe those deer that are like me, short of stature, maybe so. I'm sorry.
So the pillar at 7 and the
Yeah,
gate,
whatever's proportionate. I mean, I'm not telling you how to
Right.
do it.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's always, when you're composing a gate,
it could,
that the gate is bracketed by the pillars. The gate will always be smaller than the
Yeah,
pillar.
right.
If we could get to, and the column is by units of brick, instead of the 8, you'd prefer somewhere around 7, you
Yeah.
said? And then the gate would fall down within,
Right.
tucked in as a secondary
Right.
to the composition.
but isn't this position a sort of rise? Or am I crazy?
It's slightly up, but it's 33 feet back from the curb. It's really tucked in,
Oh,
but,
does that change your opinion? No.
right?
Okay. I hear what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I'm not getting.
So how do we settle it? Do we settle on a number? Or,
Would you be willing to write in a number or we could, how fast do you need this?
Jack, do you have any opinion based on this story?
Well, I think it's tough to just put in the numbers. 'Cause you
Yeah.
don't get to
Okay,
see
right.
it. So
Yeah.
you really need to see it.
Right.
And again, you don't want to design anything. I'm just wondering if the gate itself, the arch of it in the middle, might be more elegant, because as it is now, it's somewhat, so if it just arched it, is that
A deer stopper, are you saying?
I'm just saying it would get, without violating the height of the post.
Do you feel the need to go out there and look at it?
No, because it's a new construction, and it has a nice historical feel to it.
Right,
I
but
think the
in
design is
reference to
quite
the
nice.
other,
It's just big.
you're familiar with the other structures
Yeah.
that are all significantly historic and that are classic wood framed.
It sort of stands alone and looks like a proper entrance to a park. And
Right.
Yes, it's
so
pretty,
almost
I
like a
like
public-
it.
It could be the Boston Common, it's
Right.
just like a little overscale for a private,
That's what I think.
just
I mean, should
scale
we-
back a bit.
Even, would 7 plus a little be worth it there? Would you be willing?
we'll come down units of brick and they're,
Yeah, so you're going to probably have to
Come back to
show us.
yeah, I suppose so,
So
yeah.
the next meeting is July 11th. Is that a problem for you?
Shouldn't be.
Okay. Are you asking us to adjourn to our next meeting? So you can,
I don't know if I'm asking you, I think you're telling me.
your
In
choice.
effect,
You
you
can't
are.
see my mouth, so it doesn't matter. What would you like to do?
I have those talents as well.
Oh,
The 11th is terrific.
okay. Motion to approve the applicant's request for an adjournment until July 11th, our next meeting, for driveway gates in the Historic District, 137 South Main Street.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So what happens then? I bring the drawing that night or before?
No, please, please, we're trying to move this along as quickly as possible. Resubmit.
Resubmit.
Put it in the file. Bring it to the building department when you've got it drawn up, and we will put it in the file and look at it.
As soon as I can.
As soon as you want.
Right,
Yeah. Got
Okay?
it. Yes.
So that we're not all like,
right. But didn't we
No, not to
didn't we
rush.
establish the protocol that anything had to be submitted by the Thursday before?
yeah, the Thursday before the July 11th,
Sure.
whatever that is.
So the
The eighth.
holidays, the Friday the 3rd, I'll do it, what was the Thursday
I think
before?
we established that it's
You
got to
can't
be in the
keep
Thursday
putting
before.
stuff in the, yes, we need to go look at it. So the Thursday before July 11th is the deadline for submitting to that file.
Understood. And the calendar would allow us
Okay,
to
that would
imagine that that Thursday is a,
The third?
third
The
is a
second.
Friday, so it's,
The second.
No, of the 11th?
no, the next week.
Oh, sorry.
The Thursday before the 11th,
In June.
It would be 5 days before, so it
which
should
is
be
the,
6th.
Is it 11th
The
or what's
9th.
what's the
13th.
date? The 13th.
The actual date of the
Oh, the
meeting
date is the
Thursday.
so the
13th.
9th is
Okay,
the
so we need it
Thursday,
on the
so
9th.
before the 9th.
Correct.
Yes, please.
Got it.
Thank you.
Easy to do.
Thank you very
so
much.
And by the way, you say, is it Barry or Gary?
I'm sorry?
Is it Gary or Barry?
Harry,
With a P.
P.
Oh, great, I got it all wrong.
It's these
I'm worried
minutes.
about people understanding me. I can't hear.
I know it's hard to understand.
All right, Barry, thanks.
Thank you. See you then. Public hearings, non-historic. Harry LLC, 23 Culver Street. That has site plan review pending the planning board. Is there anyone here for that?
Hello.
Hello? Well, whoa.
Conditions, new
See, Mac,
situations.
until the planning board makes a recommendation.
No, he needs
No.
this first.
Need the
Oh, you need this
recommendation from
first?
here to the planning
Yep.
board. And last, we were here before the whole village and every country closed up. Basically made the presentation. The concerns were regarding the garage.
Yes.
And I actually submitted plans with a reduced size garage.
I'm sorry.
I said I actually submitted plans with a reduced size garage, pushing the garage back from the street.
When did that show up?
That was a while
That
ago.
Yeah,
was,
so on March 9th, Sammy, CMAC came before
Do you have
us.
any copies of your plans? 'Cause some
I
of us-
have,
Here, I've got
I
it.
mean, I,
But CMAC, the plans haven't changed since the 9th, have they?
pardon me?
The plans haven't changed or
Yes,
have?
they
Plans
have.
have changed. I
Oh,
reduced the size of the garage,
Okay.
oh,
because that was the concern
Pop it
that
up
we
here.
had.
Let's go.
right.
And we were going back and forth. I asked if we could come to a visit to the site so
I
you could
see.
see my conditions.
We did,
Right, we did, I did.
And,
in distant memory.
I thought with the conditions and everything the way it is, I better compromise for the sake of moving
Okay,
this
so
along.
let's do this.
Yeah, so
There are
tell-
people waiting.
So tell
We're
us what the
we're-
change is.
We're under orders
So
to,
this garage originally. Let me just, originally had submitted. So this was the original garage.
Hold on, let's,
are you sure these are in here?
Yes, I submitted to Jackie about 4 weeks ago.
That's funny.
I mean, besides the garage, everything
Hey,
else
Max.
is the same.
The problem is, were they dated February 20th?
no, they could have been.
March,
No, because you were here March 9th.
Because I'm not usually this bad.
No, I didn't.
We don't have any plans, but keep
But,
going.
yeah, let's go.
So, well, as I said, the main concern was the size of the garage.
Right.
And I pushed back the garage so that we could have
And how many feet did you push it back?
15 feet.
15?
and a half.
You push it back that far?
Yes.
We were only talking about 5 feet at the time, I
Well,
think,
we were
right?
talking about 5 feet, so I moved it back, so at least if I were to drive in front
Right.
of the garage, I'd have a...
Right. So you've moved it back
Yeah.
greater distance
We
than
don't-
what was the request at the
We have
time.
nothing to refer to, CMAC. There's nothing
I
in
can
that plan.
submit last week. I mean, I did submit, but I can
I
submit.
understand what you're saying. We're telling you, we haven't looked at it and we don't know what you're talking about because we
So
haven't had a
I can walk
chance.
you through this, but...
Yes, we just needed them to zoom in somehow
Okay.
so that we could
Can
see what you are
zoom on
talking.
this?
I know what you're I remember that we thought that the garage was too long toward the Culver Street.
This was the original garage.
Yep.
The dotted
Yep,
line
yep,
being the
yep.
property
Yep,
line.
yep.
And this is the new garage.
Oh,
pushed
okay.
back
Okay.
14 feet.
What'd you do, sell a couple of cars?
Oh, so
Did you sell a couple of cars?
do I like that better? Thank you.
Uh,
And what's the planning board? You're there because...
So the planning board basically wanted a recommendation from the architectural board based on approval of this plan, which basically the concern was the garage, so I'm submitting this revised garage, and then so
You
this
just
would
need
be...
site plan review, because he's in village business.
Okay, I had this wrong, and we didn't have any new, we don't have the files that he has. And we don't have those.
Tim, if you
plans in
just
our
hold it up so I can see it again, the same way you did before.
Do you have more than one copy of the thing you changed?
Yes, I do have more. I can submit it right now to you.
I saw it.
What?
I saw it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not in there.
Okay, and everything else is
Everything else
exactly
is the same. Everything else is the
Okay.
same.
Then-
All right, that's a big improvement.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Do
And
we have any more to say?
Nope.
I can submit copies of it to you right
said
now
it
so
all,
that
you
you
said
have
it
it
all.
on file.
Good.
Oh, it has to be stamped into the...
My notes from March 9th, that was the only issue.
Right. And it was a big issue, but now
Yeah.
he seems to have ameliorated the problem.
Yeah, more than that, really. So,
Yeah. All right, Sumac.
Okay.
Relax over there.
I think we're good.
Board members, are you ready to
Take
vote on
take
this
yes for an
application?
answer.
Yes?
Yes,
Here's-
I'm
I
ready.
can submit 2 sets here. Is that good?
You have to have them stamped in.
I don't have a stamp on it. I think it's right by you. Is that is it it?
Yes.
The one with the red top?
Oh, yes.
One set.
But, yes, I know how to cut hair, do a lot of things. But I don't think this has the right, well, let's see.
Do you have a date?
Date been changed on this?
You can always stamp it and
Oh,
cross
it's
it out.
good to go.
Okay.
Right.
Is that
Here's
two of them?
another copy.
Yes, thank you.
There we go. Here's another copy.
Good. Motion to approve the application of Perry LLC, 23 Culver Street. Make a motion.
I second.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks
you're
for
welcome.
making that change, Sumac.
Yeah, thanks, Tina.
Thank you very much.
Next, 23 Cooper Street, Group LLC, 23 Cooper Street. Construct second-story addition to existing dwelling.
That's
Your
correct.
name, sir?
Tom Laurentowski.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your person?
Tom.
Tom.
Tom Laurentowski, I'm sorry.
Like I said, this is affecting apparently it's affecting my hearing.
Can you, gotta have your mask over your nose, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Mask over nose.
Sorry.
Okay.
Tom, spell your last name, please.
Laurentowski.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Tom, what I need to address to you and your client, you're representing 23 Cooper Street.
Cooper Street, yeah. I'm one of the principals that's okay.
You're principal?
I'm one of the principals that's okay.
I'm sorry, what's your last name?
Tom Laurentowski.
Laurentowski. Oh, I thought the application was under Nina Platzer.
She's a majority holder.
So this is, not that it matters, but I don't understand. This is a residence or something you're developing? doesn't matter, but I just curious.
Well, it's not going to be, it's investment.
Okay, all right. So in fairness and in transparency to you and your partner, one, welcome to the village. Two, welcome to the neighborhood. And I say that because I happen to be one of your neighbors. Now, so for the record and full transparency, my wife is the property owner at 166 Halsey Street, which borders on the north side, and our house is northwest of the property.
Okay.
Now, that being said, being on the board doesn't preclude my voice as a resident. If there were a financial interest, either directly or indirectly, for me or any of my relatives, then under the Code of Ethics, that would be cause for recusal. But in as much as I don't know you, I have no interest in the property, I can make, and I will make, objective views on the property. So again, I'm sharing that with you so you know. You should also know that if you have major objections to that, while it's my decision, and legal counsel has provided me the comfort that I don't have to recuse myself, but if you felt so inclined then to recuse myself, the consequence of that would be that we wouldn't be able to hear your case because we wouldn't have a quorum, because we need 3 people. So that's full transparency. So if you want to go ahead, it's your choice. If you want to adjourn until there's a more complete board, but I'm still not going to recuse myself, so there you go. Okay?
I don't know, what would be the...
It's your choice. Well, we either proceed and you hear my opinions, which will be objective.
Well, why don't we proceed, okay?
Okay.
Okay, could I just, on the record, work was started on this property without a building permit?
We did some work, yes.
What work?
We changed the windows because they were rotting out. Okay, we changed siding because it was leaking. Okay, the house was in a poor condition. So in order to preserve or save the structure of the house.
And were those changes to the windows in kind? That is, are they the same windows?
They're exactly the same windows, okay? We wanted, since we're not changing the whole house, every finish, okay, it's going to be matching the old and existing one. Okay?
And that's all you did?
Yeah, that's what I did, yes.
Okay. So Tom, so I was fully upfront with you and transparent.
Yep.
You have to do that in kind. You also removed the roof. You started structure on the roof. So let's be, if we're going to be honest, we have to be honest 100%.
Absolutely.
Did you do more than change the windows?
No. We start changing the siding, okay, and we took the roof down because it was.
You forgot to tell me that.
What's that?
That's a lot. You basically changed the entire house before you
No,
get.
not really. Okay.
Tom, this is not an inquisition, but again, we have to be honest.
Well,
No, you weren't. So let's start all over again.
Yeah.
Okay? You want to build a property. Okay, we're willing to hear. You started construction
posting and mailing from
illegally.
him?
The building department had to shut you down. Okay.
That's correct. Right.
Okay, so now let's start off fresh. Okay?
Do you have affidavits of posting and mailing?
I do.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we shouldn't even be talking. We need to have this
okay, right now? Okay, coming. Okay, sure.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
The person that usually does this is not going to do it.
This is just who was mailed to. It says on the top.
It says affidavit.
Yeah, but I had to do it twice because I had the hearing scheduled end of, I believe, end of February, okay, and 2 days before the meeting, everything got shut down.
Okay, that's too bad.
So
we didn't make those rules.
No, well, it is what it is, okay? That's why I shouldn't really. This is one.
Isn't that the date that's current? like soon.
Affidavit of mailing and posting, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be done to January now.
That's a Quintello?
It's done the 19th
Of July.
of June.
Oh, good.
Is that the?
No, that's the other one. I apologize if I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. Maybe.
Great. Thank you.
This is the March one.
Oh, is it?
Is there a reason? Is
June 20th?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll straighten it out.
Thank you.
Okay, and all this been mailed to everybody
have that.
on the list, okay?
Great. Thanks. Sorry. It's a formality, but it's important one.
Right.
All right, go ahead. So could I just say that on your plans, I never see a representation of the actual house that is there, or was there, that we could compare to what you propose to do.
An existing condition.
Existing.
Well, I also submit the pictures of the...
Yes, we don't, it's not a photography situation.
Okay, well, it's...
There were no plans, I've gone through this twice now, that I can find. So what you're showing me is what you propose to do, but I don't know what you had before. None of us, I don't know if anyone else saw it. I don't think I saw the photographs, and yes, they show the house, some house, but it just, what we do is look at what's there and what's proposed, usually side by side in the plans, which would make sense.
Okay.
So we can figure out what you're planning to do and what we think about that. You don't have it. I mean, it wasn't in anything.
If it's not, that's what I got from the architect.
Yeah, I saw that. And he has his lamp.
Well, if you don't have it, okay, I'll talk to the
It's hard
architect.
for us to discuss it because we don't know what we're talking about, other than what you're saying is the proposed thing. You're saying you're just adding something on to something that exists already. But we've now learned that all the windows were changed, the siding was changed, the roof was, I know that you have to take the roof up to put on the second story, but it's becoming sort of a
Right.
a big story that doesn't help us make a decision.
The Plan 8-2.0 has existing elevations.
Where?
8-20.
And do you have any other, usually people bring small, we only have two, how many sets? You'll have to share with me. So, let me just take a look at it. I didn't, okay, so. Wait a second.
Right on the first page.
I do have a bit of an advantage. The difference with you, Tom, I have a bit of an advantage because I'm familiar with the house. And we'll see if that, so A1.
20.
A120.
Proposed, and proposed. Two proposed. Where's the
Okay.
existing? I see,
So,
you're not actually, is that,
I have a small copy from what the architect
that's
gave
not
me.
what you submitted. This only has two.
so, Tom, may I ask you another question?
Okay.
Have you and your architect actually walked on the property?
Did we?
Have you and the architect actually visited the property?
Yes, we did, yeah.
Okay. So then this elevation, which you say is the west elevation?
Could I?
Yes, yeah, you have it there. So A200 or A2.0.
This looks
Yes.
different.
That's, you're claiming that's the west elevation, okay?
His has,
Okay,
This existing east-west.
okay, well, just let's look at A2-00.
Could I see what you're looking at? Could I
yes,
just
we're looking
approach
at
that?
what's submitted in this file, sir. And there's proposed,
Okay.
where's the existing on this plan? This is A-2.00.
Okay, well, I have
You have something else.
something else.
That's the problem.
From the same architect.
You know what? We're spending an awful lot of time on things that we should have had. People are waiting. What can I do?
Let me see. So the plan that we have here, Tom, has the proposed front, is that what you say, as the west elevation? Is that what it says on your plan as well?
It has a, pergola, porch,
Okay.
covered porch on the,
I can tell you with 100% assuredness that that's not the west elevation. That's the south elevation.
south end, okay.
Okay, so then all the other elevations are equally incorrectly marked.
Okay.
Then we have, you submitted a plan that shows doors where there are windows, windows where there are doors. So we have a file that is incomprehensible, incomplete would be the technical term. So now that being said, and I know the chair is going to ask you to come back with revised plans that are accurate, detailed, accurate, and show the existing structure versus the changes you're going to be making. But I think in fairness to Tom, who's going to have to come back, that we address some of the issues, and this is where I'm wearing a bit of two hats as a neighbor, but also as objective in terms of how we view small houses on small lots. And so if I may, if you think that's, again, all kosher, I'll share my thoughts.
Honestly, I think we should move on.
I think, sir,
Got a lot of people waiting. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
We need to have appropriate plans, and obviously I found it tremendously frustrating and confusing, as did the other board members. You
Okay.
need to come back with accurate plans that show what's existing, what's proposed, properly labeled,
No,
or
I
we
will.
cannot proceed.
Okay.
So I think we should adjourn until July 13th, if possible.
July 13th, okay.
So are you asking for an adjournment until our next meeting?
Or is it a matter that the chair determines the file is incomplete and can't be heard?
Either way, you need to resubmit.
Okay.
I can adjourn it because the file isn't complete. Motion to adjourn the application of 23 Cooper Street Group LLC because the file is incomplete.
I second.
Aye.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Is that confirmed July 13th?
I'm sorry?
July 13th.
July 13th. But you really need to make sure that whoever does these plans, it's just a mess. Okay? Thanks very much. Sorry about
See you,
that.
Tom.
Next, Kathy Lawrence, 400 Great Plains Road, construct 1- and 2-story additions, convert garage to living space, and construct detached accessory garage. Now, is this the thing that's classified wrong, or not?
Well, it's not in the historic district, but it was inventoried in 1979, and it received one of those blue form inventory forms. So,
Well, let's wait till the applicant's here.
all right.
Oh, okay, I'm not sure.
It's interesting because it's shown on the original application as historic, and now it's moved back to non-historic.
We should still wait.
Well, that's just the category.
That's
When
just a
was the
category.
original application?
Oh, okay.
So just let him know that they're going.
I can't.
I'll send him a
All right.
We're actually moving along not so poorly. I would
Which one are we?
Kathy Lawrence.
Oh, okay.
It's the
Hey, Kathy Lawrence?
Yes, yeah.
Hey.
How is everybody? How are you? Different, huh?
Fun, fun, fun. For the record, Brian, your name?
Brian Brady, architect for the applicant, Kathy Lawrence. Small sets, do you want me to
Please.
bring that, or?
Yes, please.
Sure.
There's a discussion about,
I need that microphone.
Yo, you need to stop. You need to stop yelling at me, man. Just relax.
You don't need it, Charlie. I need it for them.
Lordy. This is categorized as non-historic?
Correct.
Okay. It's a little question.
And what that means is it's not in the historic district. The confusion perhaps is that in fact it was inventoried as a historic building in 1979, received a building structure inventory form, on the basis of which the historic district lines were drawn, and this was deemed to be too far away from the center of the building, and therefore it's not in the historic district, but it has the documentation in the file as being a historic building. So it just has stature in that sense. It has credentials that other buildings would not have.
And
And perhaps worthy of greater consideration than that.
And it was originally shown, it was listed originally in the agenda as historic.
Right. And I questioned it because I was told it wasn't.
Thank you, my husband has cancer. Okay.
Do you have the surveys? Might be easier to explain if I could start with the survey.
We only,
There's two with
That's
two
fine,
and
that's
five.
fine. She's gonna get one and we're gonna share. Is that okay? There's a tiny survey, isn't there, out here?
That's the site plan.
Oh.
Same thing. It's the same thing, but this is a little bit bigger.
Yeah, no kidding. I can read the little one, okay. Would you like it? Oh.
So basically, if you look at the plan here, everything that's hatched on this is new. So it's very small, what we're doing in this house. It's a small little components. So the portion off the porch, you can see at the top, is the porch is being added, we're adding 5 feet to the porch. And then the center section, which is like a long corridor of hatching, that's tying in the two buildings with.
Go ahead. It's, you know, what can I say? Not a good time.
And then the hatches here is a 2-story addition, and the hatch over here is a new 3-car garage. Because what we're doing is taking the existing 3-car garage and turning that into living space.
Where is that located?
This is great. Okay, this is the new garage.
Yeah, I see the new garage. Where's the old garage?
Right across from it, where it says 2-story.
Oh, okay.
That's a garage with living space
So I
above
went
it.
over there, but it was, they have a gate,
Yeah.
speaking of gates. And I couldn't be getting in there. They have nice trees. Okay.
It's a big lot, and they're set way back.
Okay. Anything else? So you're on the addition, the 2-story addition,
Follow along as you go.
on the front.
Jackie, why don't you take this? 'Cause
No, I've got it.
Okay.
On the front addition, where you got you doubled up the roof gables there, did you?
That's just an addition that's forward of what's there.
Uh-huh.
The main part of it, if you go to A5, the next sheet,
Yeah.
you'll get the lay of the land here. You can see the 3-car garage in the lower plan, and you can see how now that's becoming more living space.
Yeah.
And the fenestration's a little more organized. The connector right now between the house and the garage is a 1-story addition that was done with skylights and things like that. So I'm taking that out and adding a 2-story piece because that's now a stair that connects them.
So that 1-story connector did not exist historically. That just joined the house to the garage.
Right. And then you can see the screened porch all the way to the right, how that is being added onto by 5 feet with the fireplace, and the 2-story addition all the way to the left. So we're not really adding a lot of square footage to this. We're just trying to organize it a little bit better.
Well,
So what was there, the original L-shaped elevation, is now behind what's proposed. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's
But
putting it,
that's not all original either, what's behind. That's been added on to and changed as well. There were additions done to this in the 70s. I think it was the 70s, maybe the 90s.
This is it was the blue form from 1979 shows an L-shaped, 1.5 story. And I can see that the windows have been altered.
Right. And they've also had it on this way as well. And, that front facade with no windows on the second floor drives me crazy.
It still seems to me that confusing it further by adding something that mimics it but is lesser in scale along that elevation changes the massing greatly.
Which part changes the massing?
By adding this, you're adding a double gable to something that wasn't originally there.
But that's added onto a garage that was added.
This is the garage?
The garage is the larger gable behind it.
Okay.
How far back is it?
This might help you get a sense. So this is the new thing. This was the garage with living space above. This is the original house, part of it. This is all new on that part too, but it's already there.
anything else?
And is this is a rendering of what will be?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It looked like an aerial photographic.
No, it's a rendering. It's a CAD drawing.
Well, hey, so
You should have all these in there.
Yeah.
I actually don't have a problem with this.
I think it organizes everything and
It's weirdly institutional looking to me.
The
I'm
renderings are,
sorry.
yeah.
The whole thing, but I'm not saying, that it's a beautiful property.
Yeah, the
Anyone-
original is varied so that it relieves the,
Institutional conformity.
yeah. And what you're doing aesthetically, I can follow it, but what it tends to do is it's so repetitive that it looks I don't know,
Institutional.
less quirky.
Institutional.
But, I mean, it's hard to define quirk.
But that is quirky.
Yeah.
But that's an addition.
So
You know.
it's hard to,
So was it
I think this is a house that's already kind of lost the
really?
its way.
Miss Clavel and
its
Madeline are
integrity.
going to come out of there any minute.
So
But this was done in the 70s, and this form was done in 79, so that
or
doesn't
maybe
matter.
later.
I think it was later because they were the owners when they did that addition.
Well, yeah.
How
I didn't have a
old-
lot
how old
of
is the
love
oldest
for
part
it.
of the house?
Nobody, it's been,
I would say 20s probably.
What, when it was built? Before 1916, because it shows up on that
Really?
map.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
It was
I
1912.
suspect it's grown a bit
Yeah.
since its first.
yeah, it just doesn't
Okay.
compute to me, and I'm not a great architectural.
It's already
It's been
overgrown.
kind of, it's weird, actually, what's happened to it. Might be great, though. A lot of rooms. Who knows?
Brian, can you just hold that?
Grandchildren coming.
Can you just hold that rendering up again? The one.
Can I see the
one
garage
underneath the garage or whatever that is?
This is the back.
Oh, that's the back. Okay. Yeah, that's stunning.
That's
That's not
okay.
changing.
That's stunning.
That's
Okay.
nice.
And the front again?
The front is the Miss Clavel.
This is the aerial, gives you better.
Right.
Right. I want to see the picture of the rendering of the garages. The garage. Okay. Do we have to have that little thing on there?
Cupola.
Cupola, no, you have a cupola on everything.
Every house has always had cupolas on it.
No, but I mean,
I actually don't, I'm not going for the cupola. The whole thing is sort of a, what is that doing there? It doesn't belong there.
and a bubble with a whale on it, it's whether it's on a artist studio or 1912.
Is there a way not to have a, does the cupola do anything?
No, it's just.
I could go for it, but without that thing on there. You've got all these straight lines, let's not put a little cutesy thing on there.
I would mix it too.
You've got round windows too, so let's just get rid of one thing. It's the easiest to go. What do you think? I'd be willing to say yes without that. How's that?
It makes no difference to me. I
Really?
think it's...
It is the garage, though.
think
I mean, can you just...
It's cute. I mean, Barnes had venting through cupolas, so...
But is that for venting?
No, that's decorative.
Just decorative? To me, it's unnecessary, but I just don't think it goes with the rest of what you presented. That's all. I hate to be picking on one little detail.
You did put a little cupola in your...
Yes, there's one.
On the connector.
It's smaller, though, isn't it?
Well,
It actually, it's more like a clear story to get light into the stair.
So there's a purpose to that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's
So
move
I
it.
nix the cupola?
Could you?
Sure.
And then
Oh, I
just-
see, yeah, it's an actual lantern.
Yeah.
That I could live with, but that other thing, I don't know. You know what? I don't care.
stick to your gun.
Yeah, is anyone ever going to see the thing I don't like?
No.
Okay, so I'm staying out of it. I'm happy to go forward with your plan. How's that?
Thank you.
Talk about taking one for the team, yes. How about you?
I told you, I'm fine. I'm fine with everything
Sarah?
Brian did.
Sarah's not fine. Maybe she is. It's kind of a mishmash, I gotta say.
I mean, you're taking something that, I mean, it sounds, I wish we could have looked at the site. It would have been easier on us all. I think that making it so regular is not very good design, but I'm outvoted, but there we go.
But unfortunately, it lost its historic character 50 years ago. or
Yeah, if
at
you
least-
go over.
Incrementally, I
Yeah.
think it...
So I think what Brian is doing brings, as he said, order to it, and so.
The back of it's pretty.
The back is gorgeous.
Well, what should we do? Motion to approve the application of Kathy Lawrence, 400 Great Plains Road?
Yeah.
I move.
Unless there
Are you seconding?
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye. It's up to you, Sarah.
Sarah? You're saying aye too? Oh, my God.
It's my day.
You're done.
All right.
You go, guys. Okay,
you.
Brian, stay well. Next, Joseph Negri, 81 Halsey Street. Construct two-story dwelling, detached garage, and accessory pool house. Now, is there a letter that you wrote in the file? No.
Yeah, there was, in this file, in this one, if you look in the file, there was a, well, there was a report that it was deemed highly historic. So let's just take a look at the file.
Who wrote that?
This is for 81 Halsey?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was 8183 Halsey.
It's a little,
The Victorian, it's a 100-year-old Victorian on Halsey.
Just got a demo report on it?
I don't know. I
don't know.
I didn't see the
Where's
demo
the
report in there.
But it would have to have, because
I mean, it looks,
because this just shows that it's a proposal for a two-story building, whatever it is.
it's not in a historic district.
If this is a pre-1926 existing building,
Seems to be.
then it would very likely have been referred to me at some point for
I do believe that it was referred to you all initially. Hi, Ray Booth from McAlpin. I'm via Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have that affidavit?
It was approved for
posted?
demolition
Excuse me.
previously.
Are there affidavits of posting and mailing submitted to this board?
Yeah, I think I'm supposed to show you the affidavits here.
I'm not,
He
show
can-
me?
He can shoot the screen.
Copies are in your
On the
folder.
Oh, there we go.
Is that legal?
Copies are also in your folder.
Susan, you give me the file, and I'll dig through that.
I mean, as long as we have it, I'm fine.
What do you want?
I
this?
can't
If
see
you
that,
want me to
obviously.
file, I know what Jack's thing looks like.
Yeah, my report should be in the file.
That's what I'm asking.
I mean,
This
I
was
may have
in
done
this file
this
too.
4 years ago. I don't recall. But let me just see.
There you go.
There it is.
Okay, well,
What's the date of it?
April 18, 2019. Let's
You
use
want to
that,
summarize it?
right? There's that.
Oh, sure. Let's just look at this.
I believe that the building inspector discussed this with me a while ago, and that
Folks, it was the May 2019 ARB meeting where we were approved for the demolition of the structure.
Oh, you were given permission?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that not in the file?
Well, that would just be a resolution.
Yeah, resolution.
copy issue.
It's in the, okay. Okay.
The demo report was dated April 19,
Oh, April 19, 2019.
and he's saying in May, you received.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Wait, let's.
What?
Okay. Thank you all.
Yeah, just.
So we
hold
are
on,
the architects for Joseph
One second.
Negri.
1 second. He can't hear us. It's very
Can I
awkward.
take a look at that?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure.
But there should be a notation in the file that he applied for the demolition. That only declares it.
Listen, don't get me started on the files.
Yeah, so I don't understand, and I'd like to look at the certificate or approval for demolition, because I don't understand how we are entitled, the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, and we allow a 120-year-old house to be demolished. I just don't understand that.
I don't know if this is the time and place to.
Yeah, we can't do that.
The logistics of that.
It's that they already
the
got the
code-
demo permit.
Yeah, but if the demo permit was issued improperly,
It wasn't.
then I
It doesn't appear to have.
I don't
It
know.
wasn't.
But, okay.
Very briefly, if the building in question is not within the historic district and also deemed a contributing element in it, it is, and in this case, not in the historic district, it is of right, if it's for demolition, if it's pre-1926, it requires that I go out and look at it. But unless that one individual structure rises to the level of being landmarked individually, that's the standard, and that's the way the reports are written up, then it's my responsibility to say it does not meet that threshold to be landmarked. Typically, an applicant doesn't come in and just request a demolition. They request that in conjunction with a construction project. So that's the confusion that I have here. To be granted demolition absent a proposal for a design, which is the usual procedure, but presumably that was issued on the basis of that form. So it's a deficiency really in the code that kind of takes this off your list or your radar screen because it doesn't get to you.
And Zach came up with a list that was not enacted in 2009. So we need to change the code.
Yeah, it's just a darn shame. It's not the.
All right, can we move ahead, though?
Yep.
Can we get the lawyer back, please? Is he there?
He's here.
I'm sorry, it's hard for me to hear. I'm here.
Okay, proceed.
You may proceed.
Okay, thank you. So the structure is a two-story wood frame house with a basement. If you look on page 1, we've got a site plan that shows the orientation of the new residence. The driveway enters on the south side of the property. There's 2 guest parking spaces at the front yard. And then you proceed on along the back to a detached garage at the rear of the property. And then in between is a swimming pool and a pool cabana, or pool lounge, really. The structure is going to be cedar shake, white painted cedar shake. The roof is going to be a natural cedar shake. The windows are going to be kind of a dark bronze tone, charcoal. And there's going to be painted brick fireplace and base to the house, also in white. Front elevation you'll find on page 5 of the residence. This is the street face on Halsey Street. You'll see to the left there a small covered porch, kind of a low roof. We're trying to keep the residence very cottage-like, so that roof is only, the ceiling of that porch is only about 7'6". You enter into the residence there. There's a central gable with windows on the bottom, which are bedroom and a bedroom on the top. And then kind of a sloped roof that covers that porch. And then the bathroom on the right there. On the back, there's a transverse hip that goes across the main gable that runs east to west. And there are dormers, kind of hip dormers in that roof structure. If you look to page 6, that's showing the south face of the residence. This is as if you were driving past it. You'll see the detached garage on the rear with the pergola for the pool, and then the pool is in between the main residence and the garage.
Are we unable to pick up, excuse me, the plans on, we don't need to look at him necessarily. We need, thank you. Sorry, continue, please.
No worries. Thank you.
There we go. 6.
Facade, we're on 6?
Yes, we've just finished with 6. That is the south face, south elevation. This is looking back as if you were, as if the garage were not in front of you. This is the rear elevation of the house.
Sheet number
We've
7?
got kind of an open timber frame porch structure that is on the lower, in the central part of the house. That's a dining area. And then above that is a master bedroom, also kind of an open timber frame exterior porch.
How far out?
Windows.
How far out does the porch come on the second story? And how big is that?
How big is it?
Yes, because their privacy, you know, we don't, in these neighborhoods with small houses, being able to come out on a deck on the second floor can be an issue. I can look it up, but.
If you look on page 11, you might be able to see, it comes out, I think it's about 5 feet. It might be a little less, but we've got a perspective there that will show you more the dimension of how that projects out. The bedroom is recessed a bit there from that porch. Also, if you wanted to look at that in plan, you would go to page 4, would show you that porch in plan.
So, it's a plan with no numbers.
So it's just sheet number 4.
That porch actually is 8.5 feet is what it projects.
No dimensions, right.
Yes. That's not real helpful to me.
There's a scale at the bottom.
Not a scale.
Yeah, these
I'm
are
not
drawn to scale.
supposed to mark the plans with numbers. It's okay. So it's what? What are the dimensions approximately?
8.5 feet is what it projects out.
And how long is it? How wide, I would say? across the back facade, do you know? I can probably guesstimate.
Let me work on getting you that, I'm sorry. feet
Wow,
is the height.
that's considerable.
If you look at the lower, the goal for the client was to have a dining
I
space
see
there.
that.
So if you look at the plan number 3, that is the lower floor, you'll see it's adequate for the dining space.
I understand the dining. I'm more concerned about what Curtis Highsmith used to refer to as the party deck, which I always loved. That's a pretty big deck on a little house on a small lot. I don't know what can be done, but
That was a goal of the design for the client. He wanted a lot of exterior space.
I'm sure. That's a problem for me. Go on. So we were on page 7, right? You finished?
Yes, page 7. If you flip to page 8, that is looking at the north elevation.
We're gonna, poor Zach.
I'm sorry. It's easier to do it this way than to see it.
8 is a long stretch.
That's the garage over there.
Right.
And then moving on to page 9 shows you the elevations of the garage itself, east and the west side.
Do you actually see the garage doors anywhere?
We're still here on sheet 8, you see.
Oh, okay, yep.
This is the rear elevation of the garage, and then turning and facing west, where there is an outdoor pergola and fireplace. If you switch to page 10, we've got a front perspective of the house.
I'm sorry, Zach. We're gonna have to come up with a better way to do this, whatever that is.
Working.
So there you can see the porch to the left, the entry porch with a small gas lantern, the gabled end, and then on the far right is actually a small bathroom for the downstairs bedroom. Behind is that hip roof with the dormers, excuse me.
Whole lot of roof lines going on with the hip and the gable and.
And it, it's interesting, it captures the feeling of a 20s cottage, but it's so symmetrical.
Another visitor that.
A little too, I don't know. I mean, the scale is good for the.
I don't dislike it, but I hear what you're saying. It's sort of contrived. It is contrived.
A little too.
This is non-historic, right?
Yeah, this
Not
is
historic.
right.
It's in the neighborhood with small houses, lots of which have been knocked down, unfortunately.
Charlie, if you can show that front elevation again? I'm sorry.
The goal was to not end up with a house with a big, broad face to the street. It seems like a lot of these residences have they're trying to maximize the space. The goal was to try and break down the form and the scale with those roof lines so that it felt a little more humble, a little more like a cottage than having a big, broad face on the house.
So if I may speak for a second, so that's where you lose me a bit. So because I think the picture presents a further setback than I think it may actually be. And I think, when you have a Victorian that's narrow and tall and fits perfectly on a lot, and then you have this, which now I would say probably the ridge line is at least 30%, maybe 50% wider across than the original Victorian. I think it presents broader than I realize your intention was to not make it look like a big square box, and I appreciate that. However, I think it still will present to the street as being square and broader in relation to the property than I think is appropriate for the property. And I also question how it would appear against the other houses. So I'm inclined to request a drawn to scale streetscape with 2 houses to the side and 2 houses to the right. To get a better
If you want to
perspective.
look at the context of the existing houses on the street, we do have a page 16 that shows you what exists on the street in the context into which we're building. I think personally that what we're building does present humbler and less broad than a number of the new houses that are being built there.
Exactly. And I think you said, well, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your first name.
Ray Booth.
So, Ray, I agree with you. And I happen to live on Halsey Street, so I'm very familiar with the street. You're right. There have been some large houses. Unfortunately, they were approved before I was on the board, and unfortunately, they've also changed the nature of that historic street, which was, although it's not in the historic district, the history of that were farmhouses and managers' houses and village houses that were on the edge of Cooper Farm. So showing me the pictures of the houses built 3 or 4 years ago that I think, well, one would not have been approved under the existing code, and saying that this is okay by comparison is not a good argument. So I'm not saying that that I'm negative on your household, house as designed. What I'm saying is I want to see it in perspective and in relation to the other houses on that side of the street.
Photographs don't show the relationship.
No, exactly.
Isolated.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to see a streetscape.
Fair enough.
So if we presented streetscape is what I'm hearing you're asking for? The house in the context of the streetscape?
Yes, that's right, Ray. Yep.
I think you were suggesting in particular the properties on either side.
Yeah, properties on either side. Either side. Two or three to each side.
Okay. Only because I don't know exactly how you accomplish that without going to measure those houses. I'm not sure how we...
Well, I don't know the actual mechanics, but I know other folks have done it. So between, I'm sorry.
It's easy.
Okay. So it can be done.
Okay.
I'm not an engineer. I'm not an architect, but I know we historically.
We've seen them before many times.
It's done all the time.
So.
I think that would be good. Also, well, are you moving this, how much, are you moving this house toward the street more than the one that you're knocking down?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
The footprint of the house, are you moving it forward toward the street, toward Halsey Street?
We are.
How many
We're
feet?
taking it to the front setback.
Which
that is correct.
30 feet? Oh,
So I want, that's a, it would be that's part of the streetscape, is to see that we frown upon, is when you start, it does not, we need to know what the difference is between the setback of the house on those houses, the two to the right and the two to the left of your house.
Well, in that case, we've done in the past a look at the whole street to see where the houses are set.
But I think the rule is right next door, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we would need that.
Well, if a whole street, let's say like Elm Street, everything is set back 50 feet, and somebody wants to move it up to 30 feet, which is allowed or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean it meets our muster. The fact,
New rules went into effect to change that. That you can't, is that right?
No.
You can't just step up so far.
Oh, well, the point of our code, as I read it, is it has to be within harmony. And if you have...
I think that was refined in the code, or when they changed the gross floor area or the lot coverage.
I don't think so, but I don't think even, there would have to be then an exception to our code.
It's a measurement. Anyway.
But measurements are things that exist, and then our board is a judgmental one.
Yes,
So-
but I think that the measurement might apply here too. I believe you measure the setbacks of the houses nearby.
The footprints as
Right,
well.
okay.
Yes.
So,
To see if it's harmonious.
I got you.
And I believe that there's some kind of computation that after the Woolley Street house that broke the line, I believe that the code changed.
All right, well, if that's the case, either way, so we'd
Or it
like to
was
see
proposed.
a streetscape from the front, and then we can get it from the building department, but if you look at the street, the plots of the houses on the street, from Hill Street to Armand Street, then you'd see the usual setback on that side of the street, on the west side of the street.
We don't want it to step out so far that it...
So what you're asking, just to clarify, I'm sorry, it's very hard to hear, is an elevation with houses on either side and the plan view showing what their dimension and setback is from the street existing.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that, the stuff is in the building department. It's not that hard to find. Anything else? Board?
Susan, there is an interested neighbor on this application that is registered on Zoom.
Oh, sir, Ray, are you finished presenting? Well, the time's up.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Have you told us everything you need to tell us?
Yes, I have.
Okay, there is an interested neighbor who is going to come in on Zoom.
It's John Gregory. I don't know if they're still on, but...
Do you have him, Joel? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hi. I live at 73 Halsey Street, right next door. I'm just curious about the fencing that's going to surround the yard. There's currently a stockade fence on the south side of the property in question. I'm curious if that's going to remain or be replaced. And also there's a existing gate at the front drive that is kind of like a stockade fence that was,
that's not legal.
Gate. Is a gate going to remain in the property, or is that going to be replaced?
Yes, sir. The gate will be replaced. We have not designed that as of yet. And the existing stockade fence, all we've ever discussed is that it was going to be a hedge. There's an existing hedge around the majority of the property. And so I only believe we're going to have a hedge. There might be some fence buried within that, but that's as far as we've taken it thus far.
Okay, then my only other comment is about the gate itself. There's no other gate on the entire Halsey Street currently. And that gate that is at the house, maybe it's existed for a while, but it's very close to the street. And it just it's not doesn't look good. I'll put
Oh,
that.
gosh, no. It has to be replaced, I assure you.
Well,
No, I don't think it should be there at all.
Ray, you weren't here for the rest of our meeting, but streets with no gates don't usually get an approval on a gate.
Okay, well, we're not applying for the gate
Excuse me, that gate was never approved that's there. That gate, the stockade gate, is not legal, that's there. But you would have to apply, and I'm just saying, to close on these smaller lot streets, the openness is part of what is charming and about these neighborhoods. And we're trying to preserve, even if you're building a new house that's bigger than the house that was there, there's an attempt to keep some of the openness of the neighborhood look.
Okay,
So you might want to bear that in
Question
mind.
for you, if the gate were removed back alongside the house,
Until you
That'd be
propose it, no, probably not. I don't know. Wait, I can't, we're not designing your gate.
We can't discuss it.
okay,
Okay, is that it for tonight then?
that's it for tonight.
Thank you very much. So are you asking us to adjourn to our next meeting on July 13th? If you
Yes, ma'am.
present those materials? It would be important to have them in the file the Thursday before the 13th, which is,
Thank you, we will.
Okay.
And is that the biggest concern that we have at this time, is seeing it in the context?
we don't know, sir. Until we see the context, we can't say.
Okay, I just wanted to prepare as best I could.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll have that for you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, have a good night.
You too.
Wait, so motion to approve applicants, did he actually request an adjournment?
He did.
To approve the applicant's request for an adjournment for 81 Halsey Street, Joseph Negri. I make a motion.
A second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Zach.
Next,
I couldn't
Julia
see that.
Crowley, 111 North Main Street, construct exterior alterations. Hi.
Hi,
Your name, please?
Nicole Adams.
Okay.
I'm the architect for.
Affidavits?
Do you have affidavits of posting and mailing? Thank you. I always forget that. It's bad.
Well, I'm on it now.
Okay, good. I get so interested in what's happening next. I think it goes there.
Thank you.
Actually, we got to stamp them. We have it.
That was best for me to.
That's good where you are.
Really strange. The more I see people with these with masks on, it's really.
Yeah, could be anybody. Go ahead.
So, the property, 111 North Main Street, we are proposing minor renovations. The existing property, I think, is a two-family dwelling that we are proposing to make a one-family dwelling. And we're not changing anything to the footprint. We'd like to replace siding, replace windows. I think the roof is in good shape. Clean up the existing accessory structures. Our materials, I mean, that's my front drawing is on top of what's existing, so I'm not really changing.
So your application says exterior alterations. What alterations could you point out?
I'm changing the front door.
Okay.
Front door is existing in this area right here, but I think there were probably two doors, so we're closing that up, making it a window. These are double hungs. Code wouldn't allow, if that was a habitable room, a sleeping room, we'd like to make replacements, the same exact size of the opening. We'd like to put the front door back here, where I think there's an existing door to the second-story residence. We'd like to re-roof this front area with, it's right now asphalt, and we'd like to re-roof it with a galvanized aluminum zinc roof. And the rest is replacing of trim, windows, siding.
I'm with you until we got to the metal roof. I think it's discordant on that house, which is really pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here.
Well, yeah, this isn't the best opportunity to go on about tin roofs, but
It's non-historic.
What?
Yeah,
Non-historic.
right, we understand, yeah.
However, it's an old house. It's a house
Yeah.
that dates
It
from
is,
the
definitely.
1870s. And from purely an aesthetic viewpoint, any alterations, that aesthetically speaking, are either going to be in sympathy with the building or they're not. And that's an aesthetic choice. I think it's true to say that the tin roof was basically devised for this application, for flat areas that weren't appropriate to wooden shingles. Sometimes they were painted, which takes the sting out of it. I'm a little trouble with just sort of Tudor diamond pane windows, which seems a little discordant. Again, it being a period house. It's not in the historic district. It's not governed by those considerations.
It's right next to it.
But it is a Victorian, late Victorian house.
Do you know what the date of the house is?
I don't know.
1875.
Oh, okay, there you go.
April. So that's cool.
Is there a way to make the map? I just find that it was so pretty and sort of not fussy, and then that thing goes all the way across. I understand it's shallow.
Are you changing the pitch of the roof?
I think we would have to, the floor slightly. I mean, it's very, very, very shallow. It's shallow pitch.
So in your plans, are you showing it?
Zach,
Yeah.
in 1875 or 1900, what would have been on that?
Porch?
Yeah,
Nothing.
but that
And it's
wasn't,
probably still under there. If you were to take the asphalt off,
It's probably,
it maybe started to rust. They didn't keep it painted, whatever. But yeah, that's how they achieved that relatively flat pitch, because you can't do it with a wooden shingle, and there was no asphalt.
You
It was
object
either
to it?
tin or something you might consider
About the
uglier,
window pane?
which would be some sort
I
of
don't
a
care.
membrane
Yeah.
that was painted.
All right.
So
What kind of, what color is this going to be?
a zinc color.
And the house will be shake.
Natural cedar that would naturally
All right,
go.
I could give in to you. What about the crosshatch windows? Board.
So we, this,
I love this house. I think it's a real gem, by
if
the way.
it's zinc, will it anodise and will it,
Yeah, it gets
will it pick up
gray.
a different patina or what's?
galvanized? No.
No, that's what I don't think. It's going to be essentially silver.
Sort of,
like a galvalume.
yeah, it'll be sort of grayish.
Grayish.
It's gray.
Color. Yeah, it's a gray color.
Yeah,
And it's standing seam?
Standing seam.
yeah, fine.
Is that what you would go for as opposed to copper, something like that?
Yeah, it's fine, because it goes with
Because
the silver.
it was a solution then.
Okay, okay.
How about the windows? I could live with all of it, I don't
So
care.
that window is just, we wanted to come up with something, that window is, you can see the framing behind it, it doesn't really move operate, but we wanted to come up with something that could kind of take over that portion of the pitch. Whether if it's the diamond hatch that's an issue, or if it's the form. It's just a little, I don't think, that's not, it doesn't feel like it's centered, so we came up with, we tried.
Yeah, this is looking a little Greek revival, so I think that's again a little out of, again, it's just an aesthetic choice because the house is, what,
As plain as possible.
True, yeah. Is there a way not to have all, I agree. I don't know why you want
It seems to take away from
the rest of the simplicity and the
Yeah,
symmetry
simple
of the
beauty of the
There's so much
house.
there of the original house. It's all basically
Pretty
there.
great. Is there a way to just make it simple?
That's what we wanted to do, so if we triangulated that puts it more into a Greek revival template. So, I mean,
You've earlied it up, basically, and that's what,
Yeah.
for want of a better.
I get it.
That's the expression.
I earlier.
So, wait,
So-
why can't you leave the window treatment the way it is?
Are the sashes replaced now up there? Are there later sashes?
It's a window behind a window, it's, so I wonder if we could just keep a fixed window in that form,
Sure.
if it was just a
Because
fixed.
you don't need the ventilation. up
Yeah,
there
and I
in your
think
attic.
if, on the side, I think we would vent it,
Yeah. That would be
but if that's just that form.
Yeah.
That's fine. And then it would be the same, for the front door, we had a front door and we had a window back here as well with those don't match, so we probably go back to just a simple division. That's fine.
We like that. So you're going to have to, you can probably mark up the plans, can't you? You have to redo the plans or just put?
It won't take that long to just,
I don't know.
I think it'd be better to have.
All right.
Okay.
That being said, so we would have the plain windows, the metal roof that I don't like, and that's it? Is the board ready to vote on that then? Motion to approve with changes to the fenestration on the south side of this building and the
On the east.
east,
The front, the front.
south, and the south. She has another.
On the south as well.
Okay. With new plans submitted, with those considerations, with those changes, motion to approve.
Second?
Aye. So it's changed the windows with diamonds, right? Okay, you got it.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Approved. Next. Thomas and Meredith Joyce, 765 Hill Street. COA to demolish existing structure, hardship exemption.
But that's still before zoning, so.
Well, we're hoping. I agree.
Well, is John here?
I have no idea. Where's the list? Charles, do you have a list? So no one is,
No one's here for Joyce?
that's okay,
At the ZBA meeting, there was a decision, but it was held open
till the July 11th.
No, I know, but it's still on our agenda here. He didn't adjourn.
So what do we do?
Well, I think we move on if he's not here.
Adjourn it.
So just adjourn without prejudice or something?
Yeah. There is. Okay, we didn't receive that.
Okay, so
What about BLC Hillside? Is that also adjourned?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
next, One Pond Lane LLC. One Pond Lane owner LLC, One Pond Lane. Exterior restoration, new glass storefront, and there are lights. Wait, I forgot to give you this and I apologize. Good evening, your name, sir?
I'm David Levinson. I guess you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Not used to talking through mask.
Did you bring any plans? No.
I just wanted to have an opening remark, and CMAC is going to come in and do the presentation.
Okay. We have a
Do you
10-minute
have your
limit.
affidavits of notice and posting?
I'm sorry?
Do you have your affidavits of notice and posting?
I think everything has been filed already.
It's here.
Great, thank you.
Here, it's already stamped. Great. Proceed.
Thank you very much for having this hearing. I appreciate it very much. Before CMAC comes in and makes the formal presentation, I just wanted to share with you why I bought this building. I know this village is very, very important. It's over 350 years old. I've been here in Southampton almost 50 years. I've owned my first house here since 1980, so I know I'm just a newcomer. But I wanted to share a story with you about this building, why it means so much to me. In 1966-67, I went to Southampton College when it had just opened. I don't know if anybody was here on those days. It hadn't had a graduating class yet, so I was able to get in. I was not one of the great students of all time, but I had an advantage that I had a dad that made me focus on this, and he bought me a car as part of the deal to go to college. When he bought me the car, and we didn't have very much money, but he struggled to do that, he gave me his gasoline credit card. At the time, I had a girlfriend that went to Connecticut College for Women, if you know the school up in New London, and I used to visit her. And my dad got a gasoline bill on this credit card for $25. And he went crazy. Gas in those days was less than 25 cents a gallon. So I was using 100 gallons of gas. He could not comprehend it. So he took that credit card from me, and he made a deal with that gas station in 1967. And that was the only place I could get gas where he would be paying for it. So he tethered me to that gas station because I would go back and forth to the college. So being in town all these years and seeing that gas station gradually deteriorate in the heart of the village, I couldn't fathom it. The business that was there, I couldn't fathom the condition that it was in. And as soon as it really became available, there was an opportunity for me to do it, I bought that building. No idea what I was really going to do with it in terms of its use, but I wanted to repair it. I wanted to clean out 70 years of terrible pollution that has been pouring into Lake Agawam. So that's done. I've cleaned up the whole site, taken out the old tanks, cleaned out the dirt, the oil. I understand when they dug it out, it actually smelled pretty bad in town for a day. Sorry about that. But that's now all done. So now my intention is to take this part of town and beautify it, because the village means a lot to myself and my wife. Maybe some of you know my wife. My wife is the co-founding chair of the Southampton Arts Center. So we have made a very big commitment to the village. It means a lot to us. And that's why I bought this building. No other agenda, no other reason. It'll be beautiful. Ultimately, it'll be used for a good purpose, I'm sure, because I'm a good steward, and we care very much about the village. And with that, I thought it was just an interesting story and a reason why I purchased this. I'll bring in and allow CMAC to come in, and CMAC can make his formal presentation to you.
By the way, what was the car?
I'm sorry?
What was the car?
I had a Pontiac. It was,
Why
and it got like 8 miles to a gallon.
And was it a Tempest or GTO?
Tempest.
Tempest.
Yeah,
Right,
it's a Tempest.
Thomas of the
Like in my cousin Vinny.
And
Very much.
I point out that Zach Studenroth did a very, very good analysis of that building in context of its history. And you might be.
I read it.
It's in the file.
I read it.
All right, we need to move ahead.
No, I went to the file and I read everything that was in the
People are
file.
waiting.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. CMAC. 5 minutes left. CMAC, you've got 5 minutes. We have a time
I'll
limit.
take it as fast as possible. Thank you very much, board members. CMAC Sami Architect representing the owner and the consultants. As far as the history of where this application was, which we all know back in 2017, we were in front of your board. 2018 February, it was granted demolition permit. 6-7 months ago, David purchased the property. They have pulled out the permit right now for demolition, not demolition, basically some repair work. There was a major leak on the roof, so we fixed up that leak. There's some structural problems. Once we opened up, we realized some columns had completely deteriorated. So they've started work on that under that permit. I'm here in front of you presenting the project for renovation of this building, bringing it back to the glory of what it was originally intended as Zach knows and mentioned was mentioned in his report. Art modern, streamlined architecture that it is, which is characterized by masonry construction, stucco, emphasis on the horizontality, fenestrations carrying that horizontality, banding that are horizontal, corners that are rounded up, and so forth. So to that extent, the facades and the masonry will be all restored, the stucco, plastering, and painted same colors. There was a study made of the original colors, and those were actually the original colors, which were the white stucco with the blue bands. The building, even though Art Modern, we have the corners of the building rounded, The glass fenestration was not designed as rounded. They had faceted glass on the corners. We are introducing on the main section, a main entrance of the building, which is, and let me show this up for you so that I can help you with the glass.
So this building, as I remember, is a 1950s version of the 1930s
Yeah,
It was
kind of
built in
old.
architecture. Right, okay, just so we're all on the
Art
same
Moderne
page.
basically followed Art Deco.
Right, fine, I'm just saying it's not from the 30s, it was built in the 50s.
1952
Right,
was
right.
opened up as a Chrysler dealership, and then following that is
All right,
dealership and garage.
But we actually
So,
remember the history of it, so let's
okay,
just see the
so,
architecture.
We're introducing curved glass on the main entrance of the building, replacing all the glass all around. Some of the openings were closed up, opening up to the original frame masonry. On this side, similar. We found drawings of the original elevations of the building. We replicated fenestration to copy the same divisions of the lights and rows.
Didn't the seller have original elevations?
Yes.
Architectural plans?
Yes,
And you have them?
we use those to actually copy these. Some of the garage doors that are not in line with what was originally designed over there, we're replacing with exactly what was in the original design. As I said, the stucco is going to be restored, the band is going to be restored. As far as lighting, we're introducing three kinds of lights. One is uplight on the planters that are in between the base. This is a very give you an idea of what type of lighting. This is an example. So here's an example, for instance, of the Agawam Memorial, where you have this uplighting at the base of the base. And that's similar to what's going to be the few planters that we have in the front are going to have that kind of lighting. We're introducing the band of LED light, which is...
But did the original building have lights across that upper,
Not in this manner, no.
did it have any lighting up there?
It has lighting, but not in this manner that we're introducing. We're basically introducing the band of light, which is dimmed, not a neon light. Basically, this is what we're introducing at night time. You can see three bands, 1, 2, and then the third one on top of here.
Wow.
I can show you an example of that, but this is basically in line with basically this type of architecture goes hand in hand with lighting of it, especially when it's a commercial architecture. We have example of it here in our vicinity. For instance, is a South Harbor movie theater where we use neon light. We're not using neon light, which is much more intense, and we look at the source of the light. Whereas in this case, you don't see the source of the light, you see the reflection of the light on the stucco, and we're talking about the distance of what, 6 inches maximum as it distances from the source of the light it dissipates. So you basically see a line, very shallow light. We're also introducing lighting behind the lettering and the sign, but these two would be separate application, which will come in front of you as a sign application. I have a sample of the light, so I can light it up for you to see what the quality of that light is. Would you like to see
Yes,
it?
yes.
On this light,
Because this is, lighting of the village properties is really, we don't really have a lot of that except for side lights.
we have this type of light, you don't have a lot of it.
No,
but this
and
type
Home
of
Nature
building, we don't
has a
have lot either.
backlit, but that was, I feel, that's the only backlit lighting of even letters. It's a lot of lighting for the village. I mean, the problem is, I understand the concept and that it would be beautiful, but it dwarfs than everyone who doesn't have that.
Yeah. Well, let me
It's sort of
let me
unfair.
shed a little bit of light, Susan. First of all, this is the entrance to the village. It's a dark entrance to the village right now. It's a historic entrance coming down Hill Street, which has been in dark for many, many years now. The styling of this light is exactly consistent with the styling of the building. It's not something.
I understand that, but we have to have it fit in the context of the village of Southampton. And so I think that there may be too much light.
But fitting in the context of village of Southampton, this is not something new that we're introducing. This building already exists. In the
Yes, but
context
it
of
wasn't
Village of
lit.
Southampton.
I know that. It wasn't lit as much.
Do you know how the building was lit?
That's what I'm saying. Up on the top, there's no sign of anything, is there?
I have a historic photo, that the only historic photo that we have of the
Oh,
building.
let's see that.
Is a daytime photo. But let's see that.
And that's the one that has the funny little thing behind.
I just think there might be a way to not.
There should be some physical evidence of
something.
how things were lit.
So there was a huge ESSO sign, for instance, that we know.
That part I
in
understand.
front of them. We have,
No way to tell on here.
first of all, this was a
Car
car dealership. It wasn't exactly a movie theater to be celebrating with something, all sorts of lighting of that nature. But having said that, again, this type of architecture, art more than goes hand in hand with lighting being part and parcel of the design.
I hear you, but I'm saying that that particular building has to fit in with the rest of the village. That's
No,
all
it
I'm
doesn't. This building
Okay, we
stands
disagree.
independent from, I mean, how could you say that this building has to come, stand in the context of the cultural center next to it, or
It doesn't need to be so, it may not need to have so much lighting, because it puts everything else.
What we're talking about, so much lighting, actually, this is less of lighting than if I were to project a light onto the building. Because this just
Well, that
highlights.
you couldn't do that either, so.
Plug that to the
Yes, absolutely.
What is that little thing?
Yeah, that's what we want to see. That's the strip, the LED strip.
You need a,
Could I suggest
I have it right here.
that it be shown up on so we see it? I mean, it would be nice before,
No, I can put it up on the building.
I mean, before we make up our mind.
yeah.
Yeah, but let's just
actually,
do,
go down and-
yeah, that's a good idea.
Because I really think it's nice.
I think it's very
I
nice.
just think
too.
there's
think I
three
we couldn't have had a
areas
better
of it,
solution.
which might be one too many.
Let's see what it looks like.
It just,
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
going to
so-
want to see what it really looks like.
So I think Sarah's suggestion is a good one. CMAC, you argue, you debate well, but at the end of the day, I'm not buying it. I'm with Susan, and I don't mean to be, so it's, to some extent, it's what's the purpose of the lighting? In this case, you argue that it's befitting of this, befitting of that. That doesn't carry weight with me. Let me just finish my thought, as disconvoluted as it might be. To me, the rendering that you showed me looks more like a movie theater lighting and a stage lighting and a Disney lighting than I would wish for that part of the village to have. And I think, like Susan says, it then will diminish the other properties, and they're going to say, hey, I want to put a strip up there. And before you know it, we're going to look like a honky-tonk village. And I'm not saying that this is honky-tonk. The rendering you showed me could be, but until I see it at night on a broad strip, it would not get my approval.
I like it, and therefore I would like to see it at night so that we can.
I just think there might be too much of it. I'm not saying you can't have some of it. And I do think it does put, and I understand the concept of this building, but we are here. We already, we're here to make sure that the rest of the village is not diminished by the addition of so much light.
And in all this, I applaud what David is doing, okay? And I applaud that he's not tearing it down. But that still doesn't mean that we have to compromise on something.
So if
So let's, we have one predicament here that I would like the board to work with me, and that is that we've been, because of the COVID, the construction has stopped. That corner of the village is a disaster right now. Can we approve the application with all this, with the exception of this lighting, subject to me coming back?
Yes, that's a good idea.
I would like to just raise one thing.
Yes.
You've been scrupulous about looking at the original drawings,
Yes.
and yet you've opted to do ground glass rather than the faceted. And I'm sort of wondering why. It seems like on the one hand you're being scrupulous, on the other hand is, well, now we're going to do round because we can.
Well, the round, first of all, round glass is very expensive.
I know.
One of the main reasons people are working that is the cost.
Well,
So that is the main reason.
and that would be reflected in 1952, probably.
Correct. Yeah, that would be the reason why it wasn't. But if you look at examples of art moderne, or better examples of art moderne anywhere, basically they either used glass block, so that smaller dimensions that you could afford making the curve, or in what they did in this case is that they put narrower pieces of glass. So this works fine in the larger radiuses, which are on the far wings, but on the shorter radius, it looks awkward. It looks like it wasn't done correctly.
So there are many little narrow...
Very little narrow, close to one another, so you don't have that, what we call horizontality. It becomes more vertical. So introduction of that at the entrance with the little skirt glass plays into that horizontality and the original concept of what we call the art moderne. Now, compromise you're talking about. In this meeting, can I get the approval for the top light on top of that entrance? And we'll put that up, and then we'll come back for the two longer backs.
No. You can do the building, from my perspective. You can show us what a piece of that light would look like. But there's going to probably, from my perspective, be a discussion about, I'm not saying you can't have any of that, I just think you might not be able to have all of it. And, you know, the discussion about art moderne, the minute I found out that this building was a 1952 remake of an art moderne building, I actually allowed for the demo, because it's not, it's just a, it's a fake.
No, it's a continuum.
Yes,
It's retarded.
Right. So I'm not so interested in the history, but I am interested, and it's unusual, and I liked it, but I didn't think it met the criteria of preservation in the village. But I'm glad it's preserved, don't get me wrong.
Why are we against celebrating something that is...
I am not against anything. I am here to protect the village, and you keep coming at me. The fact of the matter is that we don't allow a lot of exterior lighting in the village of Southampton on Jobs Lane and South Main Street.
So,
drive up and down and tell me where it is.
So when you look at commercial properties, usually they're lit by having some sort of...
I'm not
lighting
discussing
source.
commercial properties. I'm discussing the village, the actual Jobs Lane, Nugent, the Foursquare. Yes, okay, fine.
So I think you're both right. So I think we should follow what you're suggesting. Let's separate the lighting from this
From the building.
Not even the top lighting?
Nothing. See, Mac, then you're going to get nothing. You ask for too much, you get nothing. Okay? You got a great building here, and in fact, on the BP station on the corner, that's exactly what happened. We went for weeks, months, with executives from BP coming here talking about lighting. You know how much lighting they got? Zippo, okay? So they came in with all strips around the top facade and lights up this, zero, okay? So be careful what you ask for. If you push it here, you're going to get zero.
I think
if you listen to Sarah, you may get something.
I think you can get something. I just don't know what. We need to look at it more carefully.
Okay.
And we do, I know, I really feel an obligation not to be starting off that then everyone will want something of backlit signs and lit signs are not part of the MO of the Village of Southampton. True enough.
I 100% agree with you. That
Okay, well then I have to be careful.
But then again, we don't have any other art modern building in the village either.
Well,
retarded terror.
fine. Okay, so are you willing to separate out the lighting from the building plans?
Yes.
Yes? Motion to approve applicants.
The lighting being the strips.
No,
Whoa.
all lighting.
All lighting.
We're not doing anything
Okay, fine,
about the
all
light. You'll
lighting.
have to have a separate,
No, I thought that the issue was with the strip lighting, but the all lighting?
we haven't even discussed any of the other lighting.
So the
Your
other
time's
lighting-
up, by the way, so you can come back.
Let's just do the building.
All the
All right,
lighting.
really,
Great job on the building.
you've
With the
taken
sample
up
of
twice
the-
as much time as we have, and you usually do a fabulous job. I don't think we should continue arguing.
Right.
We are willing to approve the building, but not the lighting.
When you get to the point of being able to demonstrate on the building what the lighting would look like, then we should have, I don't know whether it constitutes a work session or an application or whatever, but we should look at it at night. If you want to, no, I guess I can't tell you to bring.
Different
Sure,
lighting.
sure.
I'll bring refreshments.
All right, he can put up a little strip of that, well, we'll see.
We'll look at it.
Okay.
All right, motion to approve the building without any lighting fixtures for
The
one.
application as amended, you're going to amend it.
And
Yes, to bring it in
again,
amended.
this is,
Yeah,
You can amend it now.
this is for
we can
written.
amend it now.
I amend the application to exclude the lighting features proposed,
Yes,
with the exception of a sample for the board, so that the board can judge that in the following.
right, but we haven't approved any lighting, so it needs to be amended without lighting, correct?
And then this is for written decision.
But
No,
I would
it's- yes.
urge the board, and again, I don't like to belabor this thing. This is a special part of our village. Don't be timid about our village. We have to celebrate what we have.
Yeah, I know.
We were to
Okay, so motion to close
Close for written.
close for written decision, One Pond Lane for only the building, no lights. Is that correct?
Yeah.
For a written decision in this application, to be revisited. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Ina.
Next,
Do
Johnson,
we have to vote on it?
oh, yes.
I second.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Antoinette.
Next, Johnson Navarre Properties LLC, 37 South Main. Hi, just a second, sir. Not so close. We're staying apart, right?
And I was told that the board wanted full-size plans, want 2 sets if you want.
Don't even go there with us with the plans right now. We need smaller sets, we need extra, we need like, how many of those? 7?
You have full sets, but I was told that you needed larger plans, so
We didn't tell you.
that's Jackie.
Yeah, we need copies of the plans in case there's a shutdown, so we can't do any work if we can't get in the building department.
Thank you.
So we need,
Thanks, Ina.
okay, your name, sir?
James Navarre.
James Navarre.
Yes.
Do we have the affidavits of posting and mailing?
No, I don't.
No, we can't talk about it.
You haven't submitted your affidavits of posting and mailing for application?
I thought I submitted all required
You have?
paperwork to the building department, and they just told you, well, you gotta.
Okay,
go
let's
through
just check the
ARB.
file.
Feel bad that you've been here all night.
Well, I see that we just don't have the affidavits.
Is this the first time this has been before?
Yes.
Is this? I'm getting it confused with another property.
No?
They don't usually put it on the agenda if that's lacking, do they?
Have you been here before? They don't, I don't know if they tell what,
Okay.
see,
I don't know.
here's a list of where you would have to mail, but that doesn't mean that he attests that it was mailed. Is that correct?
Yeah, we need the affidavit, absolutely.
We can't discuss this without those two things. Those two pieces of paper. One's an affidavit saying you mailed to these neighbors, and the other is that you put up a sign, which we did see.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
It's a legal thing. It's
I didn't
nothing
do
that can
the
be done.
Mailings, I thought the village did the mailings.
Oh, no.
Then that's
Oh, you didn't do the mailings either?
I didn't do the mailings.
Okay, so you need to do the mailings and show that you did, or at least attest to it.
Doesn't it say, and this isn't against you, but doesn't the application say that?
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm
Sorry, we
I feel
can't hear
bad
you
for you.
tonight.
And of all the cases,
So you
this is
need to
probably
get
the
those forms from the
simplest.
building department, and you need to actually, they'll tell you, someone does the mailing for you. You pay someone probably. Or you can do it yourself.
No, you
I've
can do-
never understood it, but
No, you
there's some people that.
You can mail it
pretty
yourself,
handily.
you just have to attest that you did it.
Okay.
I'm terribly sorry, really I am. 'Cause
Okay.
I think you're well-intentioned to fix your house, okay?
Wasting your time.
And as with good intentions, you'll be duly rewarded.
Yes.
Thanks.
Next, Joseph Kundrat, 95 Burnett Street. Construct two-story single-family dwelling and rebuild existing garage.
Feel bad for the guy.
Hello,
Your name, sir?
James McChesney, architect for the client.
Posting and mailing? Far out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, the plan is we have,
Do you have any plans to put down on the table that show for the record? Thank you. Do we have any bigger ones? Maybe you should put this plan down.
the larger one.
Yes, because we're making a public record. People can't come in here, so it's important for them to be able to see this stuff. Here you go.
Okay. So we are planning to, there's an existing house on that street that we are planning to demo and rebuild.
And what's the date of the original house?
Maybe teens, hard to tell.
It's old.
1920.
It's a really old
Yeah.
street.
It's, it says constructed 1925 to 1935.
How convenient.
The demolition development. Oh, this is the demolition development.
Okay.
So let me understand that. So this is in the historic district. So you had to review it.
It's,
But it has to come before us before it can be
No,
allowed.
there's a write-up of it, right?
no, this is a non-contributing. Yep. This was considered non-contributing, but requiring an assessment in case it seemed to have merit for.
But my understanding is that any building within the historic district, before it gets a demo approval, must come before the board for that.
It's not a right.
Right, so I don't recall this ever coming before us for a demo permit.
Now.
So,
This is it.
This is
yeah,
it.
but it doesn't.
There's
okay.
no application for demo.
It says construct two-story house.
That's not how it's classified.
So it would.
So I'm
first-
confused now.
So it would first have to come for us to see if we would even approve the demolition.
But isn't that what this is?
No, that's Zach's report. Then if it's in the
That was my
historic,
report to the building department, and then it's in the building department's hands to either issue the permit or not.
No, not in the historic
Do
district.
you have a demo permit?
In the code, in, what's it, is it 65?
That was the told them.
Well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to say.
There's a separate demolition section for zoning review, but this is in the historic district,
Right,
so
so
it's
it's-
before you now.
Right, but
There's no application for demo.
That's part of your application, right?
No, it's not part of it. He
well,
doesn't even have it.
normally in the past, Alice, the demo, the request for the demo came before us. And sometimes, in conjunction with that, there was a plan for another building, but oftentimes it was just a demo permission. If what Jim is asking is for us to review first the demolition, but if you think that you have it a priori, that I believe that's a mistake based on the code. If you are asking us to review, and I packed up everything except my code, but I believe
I have it. There's a separate demolition provision of the code.
Right. Well,
in chapter 116 of the code, but this falls under chapter 65.
Right, and in 65, historic buildings for construction or demolition, I believe, have to come before this board. Right. So, and if
Isn't that what this is? Isn't it the-
well, I don't know. Are you
They're different
asking us
things
for?
that we do.
Are you asking us to approve a house, or are you asking us to approve a demolition?
I'm asking for the approval of a demolition to
And the
reconstruct a house.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is that
Implied?
it should say demo here.
Right, it should say
That's the
demo.
only thing that's deleted. It doesn't state that in the agenda.
Okay, so again, in the past.
It is?
In the past, a demo has been,
And you have to stand by what you wrote 3 years ago? Okay.
in the past, the agenda would state demolition and construct a house. In this one, it states just construct a house. So, to me, reading it, it would seem to say that demolition was already approved. I'm saying that I don't believe that's to be the case, and I'm surely not going to vote on a new house until I first consider the demolition of this house.
Okay.
So that's why I was asking, how old is the house? And maybe I need to look at it or look at the report.
This should be in the file.
I may have missed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
And if
it's not, it's not for some reason, but
Well, was it the indeterminate, so we don't know if it's 1926, right? Or,
well, it's in the historic district, so the date,
Well-
the particular date isn't the issue. The issue
I
is
hear
that
you.
under 65, I believe, and I wish I had it in front of me, but that any construction in the historic district or any demolition in the historic district has to come before the board for approval. What Alice is saying, it's not intuitive, but
so,
you can't build a new house unless you destroy the old house.
This is
and
no,
so
the boldface?
those are bolded. But my question is, we've got to kind of go back to the file because I'm not sure it's in the historic district. I'm not sure where the line goes.
On Burnett Street, it's not.
It's in the public hearings historic.
Because the way and that may not be correct. I think the district does not include this, and the reason that I'm sent out on these buildings that appear to predate 1926 is that they don't fall within your jurisdiction of the historic district, and you're asking to see if there's some special merit that would deem them worthy of being landmarks.
That's right.
So I think this is not, I just don't have the map with me tonight.
So what do we do?
We'll check that. So
Alice?
that changes the discussion a bit.
I'm mixed up.
Although there's still a question here about procedure.
See, I think he's right. I think that somehow that wasn't, they built a school, there's this whole, the house next door is new, right, or redone on that side.
And you come all the way up.
No, then you've got the Four Square and the Scabula House, and then the one facing Little Plain.
Jeff, do you want to see the code?
No,
You don't want to touch it?
No, no, oh, no.
Because I have
What's the one?
the demo.
second one?
It's right here.
It's 2 in. So the one
And it
is
says
the
that's
one
gonna
that,
require
what's
us.
Andy Regan.
Yeah, in accordance with chapter
Andy Regan did.
65.
I'm sorry.
Right, right.
So the one is the new one, and then your house, right? And your house sits in a kind of weird position,
It does, it has a
because
weird
there's a
shaped
curve, which is
lot,
part of the charm of that street, which,
and it backs up to the school.
right.
Ooh, and I have to make it clear that I live on the street, and I was,
That's, you can just say that if you like.
I live at 130 in a mongrel, but I'm familiar with the street. You're calling my house
But how are we, what is the legality? So I think that Zach is remembering correctly, that this is not in, but it's under the historic public
I think
hearings.
it's there by mistake. I think it should have been under non.
Well, I for one, I'm willing to hear Jim if you want to tolerate it, but I'm not going to vote in favor of a demolition. I'm not going to vote in favor of the new house until, one, we clear up this matter, and two, I look at it from a historic perspective. We already are destroying a house, 100-year-old Victorian, okay? Now we're going to destroy another house. Guys, I've had it. You know, and that may sound, you know, that's not you, but I don't know what the heck we're doing if we willy-nilly, and it's not willy-nilly, it's by the code. But, so, again, I'm not saying no. In fact, I say I'm willing to listen to you if my partners want to listen to you. But
You have the ability to adjourn and wait for us to sort out what review should be applied, whether or not it's historic review, which
I'm
would...
sorry, but shouldn't that have been figured out before?
It
I mean,
should
It's not
have.
up to us.
It's,
yeah.
historic is more
that's what I
critical.
say, it's not your fault. So if the board members
We
want to
don't
listen to it.
classify.
You also have the ability to decide to wait for 1 or 2 board members to be appointed so that you have a more nuanced review. Because if you don't convince all 3 of them, then
I
you are
understand
going to
that.
get denied.
But I already am told that I'm not going to get 1 vote.
No, I said I was willing to.
It doesn't matter.
What I said is I'm not, on the confusion that exists now, I'm not going to vote for the demolition or the approval of a new construction. I did say I would listen if
But in
the
all
other
fairness, that's not fair to me. Quite honestly, if it's not my mistake that it...
Right.
You think it's our mistake?
I do not.
No.
but I-
Okay, well then let's stop wasting time. It's already late, and you had 10 minutes to present, which was taken up by us arguing.
But Susan, I think,
No, so let's, what are we doing? I just feel like this is going
So
nowhere.
then I have to wait for the next meeting, it sounds like.
I'm willing to listen to your presentation. I'm not willing to vote on it, that's all.
yeah.
If you want to do it, go ahead.
Well, quite honestly, I think I'd rather wait until there's a full board.
Well, there might not be a full board, but there would be 4 people. This is imminent.
You'll have another.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we can clear up the issue as to the...
I'm sorry, I mean, we didn't create, we don't know. We don't make
We were
this.
given this property is listed in the historic district. If it's not in the historic district, it's not as rigorous of a review. So
That really needs to be cleared up
the
first.
change could be to your benefit. And having an additional board member could be to your benefit.
Okay.
So are you asking it to, I'm sorry, I realize you waited, I really am sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Jim.
sorry. It's unusual circumstances, it's hard on all of us.
Completely understood.
So are you asking to adjourn to our next meeting on July 13th?
Yes.
Yes. Motion to,
Have a nice...
motion
Thanks, Jim.
to approve applicant's request to adjourn till our next meeting. 95 Burnett Street, Joseph Conrad. Second? Who's seconded?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay. Oh, this goes in there. Maybe I should have just shut up. What?
No, that's good. Gives a glimmer, a little glimmer.
Your spring motion. Done.
Okay, next. And finally, 199 Cooper's Lane LLC.
Jackie's.
Is there anyone else? 199 Cooper's Lane. Yes, that's it. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
Tired, you?
Same here.
I bet. Been in your car?
How has he been here?
Oh, yeah, gee, I ran into you at the beginning.
What? I know.
Walking in.
I know.
We go back a long way.
I was traveling, so it's.
At least you had time to go have dinner.
Thank you.
Your name, sir?
My name is Pete D. Pasquale.
Okay, thank you.
Annette, can you figure that out? Answer that? That's easy.
Are you the same person who was here for this?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Little scruff here.
Oh, yeah. So do you have any more sets, or we have to take these big ones?
I sent a whole bunch in. I only have one with me.
Okay. Aren't there smaller sets? Or what's going on? Just go ahead.
Okay.
Something's awry.
When I was here back in November, we had what we thought was a good meeting. We had some useful critique of the garage addition.
So as I remember, we approved the house, but not the garage. Is that
That's
correct?
right.
Okay.
Yeah. The garage was a salt box. We went with a more straightforward gabled roof, natural cedar shingles to match the house. We're using a dimensionally stable treated pine paint grade to match the trim and some of the boardwork on the house. So we'd ultimately like this to fall back, kind of to recess in the landscape compared to the existing building. There was also a suggestion that we move away from a more modern, clean glass bridge like we're using on the approved edition. We've introduced windows at the same scale as those on the house, introduced a brick base.
What? I thought we didn't like the bridge, period.
We didn't like the bridge.
Not that we were thinking that that was a good idea. But go ahead.
Sorry, I was under the understanding that it was the aesthetics of the bridge, not the bridge itself.
I don't think so. It wasn't my intention to lead you to believe that.
Okay.
But I don't know about the other people, but I think I remember these things, is that we didn't like the bridge and we didn't like the garage, but to add an appendage was, and I feel like that now, that the form of the house is really pretty special, and so to connect something to it is unfortunate.
And unnecessary.
So that's where I'm coming from, but go ahead.
Okay.
Now that we ruined your good time.
No, well, it's actually quite a critical distinction for us because once this is connected, this becomes part of the main structure, and that becomes the leading edge and front yard of the house. So it would actually have very, very significant effects on the layout of the property.
Go over that again. What?
Sure. So
the connector are we talking about?
yeah, the connector makes the garage part of the house.
Right. I got that part.
Rather than an accessory building, which would not be allowed in the front yard.
And with I feel like you have a lot of choices here on this property, so that it's just, I don't know.
We were trying, part of it too is to bring in just as little access as possible here off the Meadowmere and to not have too much driveway or pavement on the site.
So he's putting in the connector to solve a... Well,
I don't know.
I mean,
So we want to introduce a garage to the project.
Right. But what was the issue with the
It
front?
can't be freestanding on this side of the house, given that it fronts on Meadowmere.
But you have a car turnaround on the other side, so wouldn't it make more sense to have it on the other side anyway?
The whole garage? Well, at this point, at that point, it starts to obstruct the view of the house quite a bit. This feels like it has the smallest impact visually on the house.
So you're only constructing the connector to satisfy some building code requirement? Is that what I hear, or am I missing?
Yeah, it makes it an addition to the house.
So this reminds me of an application on Lee Avenue or something, where there's a corner lot, and because the zoning board
Roscoe
wanted...
Drive.
Yeah, Roscoe Drive. They were building a connector, I think to some extent for the same reason, and the applicant who's said, well, we really don't like this, but we have to do it because of this frontage. And I'm saying, what? We're architectural review, and you're saying that you're doing something that you're really not crazy about, but you have to do it because of that?
No.
So,
It's here because we believe it has the lightest impact on the site in the existing building.
Right, but wasn't there an issue with the connector making it too expansive? Is that what you were saying?
No, my thing is to not have, that you don't need to have one.
You don't need the garage or the connector?
The connector.
But he's saying he has to have it because
he can't put the garage there, he would have to put it here. I get that.
So
that's an
again,
argument I could actually listen to. Although the connector, I feel, I don't know.
How do you do away with the connector? ZBA?
Yeah.
What is the objection to the connector?
It changes the whole way to me. It's got like a tail. Suddenly we got this, I think the shape of that building is really
I mean, there is, we're constructing a landscape here with a terrace, a pool, and a pool house. And it does organize these exterior elements such that we're preserving the site around it otherwise. I mean, it is a controlled, considered addition. It wasn't. It can be seen from Meadow.
Yeah.
From here.
Well, Meadowmere.
There is a significant tree here that's mostly going on in it. I mean, there's a very large tree right next to it.
And that's the front facade, basically.
The front facade, this side elevation
of the house itself. that is
Yeah, the
front.
entry's on this side.
Yeah, the entry and the forecourt is on the other side.
But, there's also other construction going on in Meadowmere.
Two houses here.
Yeah.
The big house next door under construction, and they have a even
Where's
larger
that?
scale piece like this, it's about right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good argument. Because you're already got like the wasteland, as I call it. Well, those are big houses those people got to build.
I mean, it also helps us to create a view of this house as opposed to, I mean, it's a really
Right.
big
I
house
can
there.
listen to that.
So I'm less attuned to the architectural component. Maybe I should be. I'm just more fixated on the absurdity of constructing something that you're okay on and you could rationalize it. One of the board members has an issue with it, but we're being compelled to approve it because
It's not by default. I mean, we went through many iterations and we used this place for preserving the character of the house and the landscape.
I don't know. Sarah, what's your take on it?
I also thought, where is the picture of the connector? It has all this fenestration, right? It's just, I feel like it, I don't get that part of it either.
That makes it stranger.
I think it's worse. Why not just make it,
Can it be open, or does it have to be enclosed?
I believe it has to be conditioned.
So why can't they go to the ZBA and say,
because they want to walk from the house? I mean, there is a reason. Is there a way to make it less? Because to me now it becomes like the major window feature of the whole place. Why
Well, our
is that?
intention is to fill this area with landscape so that you don't.
We're not, that doesn't change to me. We're still talking about the building. We cannot just cover up buildings with landscaping. That's not our job. We really, because I felt, I'll tell you, I was so impressed, like we preserved with some modification that house. Then you agreed that the modern garage was probably not so good. And then I was disappointed with this connector that calls such attention to itself, it seems to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like, why do I want to be focusing on that? That's where my eye goes. I don't mind the garage. I just think the connector is elaborate in a way that is, instead of being utilitarian, I guess. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm not, and now that I remember the giant houses that are going on hither, I could see why you'd want to put your garage back there to hide them. You're never going to hide them.
Again, maybe I'm tired. So if you could put the garage back there, but not a connector, or you can't put the garage there?
You have to have a connector to have the garage in that area.
There was the comments, would we consider a detached garage in this location without the bridge? And we can't have a garage detached in this location without the bridge.
And who's saying that?
That's the code.
That's the code.
You can't have your garage in the front yard.
It's the second front yard.
Second front.
Because we're on a corner, we have two front yards.
Which would give them relief from the ZBA probably if you really went there.
Right.
But to me, I could almost understand the connector if it were less elaborate and less,
And you can't have walkways?
Well, you could have lots, you could have paths.
Well, I don't know what connects it. I mean, is it an I-beam that connects it?
It's not visible from many places at all on the site. It's not visible from the street.
It's just,
It's not good
so on every one of these.
Yeah, but it makes a whole courtyard feel, and if the intent was to have detached garages and you're connecting it, maybe I'm tired. It's just the absurdity of the whole thing. It makes me think of that Lee Avenue where
It was Roscoe, it was a swimming pool. So what are we doing here?
I don't think it needs to be that long. I mean,
Okay.
there's more of it.
There's a thought.
Then-
Does it have to be that long? That's a good idea.
There are certain proportions that are dictated by making the connection, but that is something we can look at too.
That would actually, that's a really good idea, because then it just looks like a little thing. So if you took, so there's 6 window bays, so.
To me, it's over-penetrated and it
Yeah.
looks like a runway.
Yeah, or
looks
some
like
other thing like, it looks like an attachment. Is there a way to rethink this a bit?
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone object to the garage, just as long as we're here all talking?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we could work on the connector.
Okay. The size and the fenestration of the connector?
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like to me, it's obvious when you look at this that it becomes the main attraction in an odd way.
And it's only there because you have to put it there.
Yeah, so let's just make it like,
Yeah, we're also trying to preserve the existing side of the building. We're trying to keep light and air.
but you're not really preserving
So
the building.
the best way to do that would not be to not have a connector.
Don't say that.
The best way would be not to have a connector.
I just,
If you wanted to preserve the corner of the building and the light, you put windows where you had a door.
all right, so are you asking for an adjournment to our next meeting?
I'm not familiar with the process, if you don't understand.
It means, do you want to come back on July 13th?
I would love to.
Okay, fine. Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn until our next meeting on July 13th.
And you'll have another set of eyes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, but that's how it goes. I think we were all feeling that we couldn't approve that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, this goes back in something. That being said, do I have a motion to close the meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation? So moved. Of June 22nd. I second the motion. Aye. 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 Okay.